right, we're getting started. All right, we're up on Substack. I still don't know what's going on with our dear friends at Instagram. Sadly, they must have cut me off. I must have overloaded their system. I must have made them feel bad about themselves. Clearly. But Substack people, send some hearts. Let me know you're there. Restack me, I think is the phrase. We'll get started in just a moment. Doesn't go there. This page goes over here. All right. I'm almost there. Hit that like, share the show, everybody. All right, got my chat room up. I see you guys. Excellent. Let's get going. What's happening? Oh, wait. Why am I not in there? Hold on. Back to the launch page. I'll be right there in just 1 second. Let's see. Turn the camera off and back on again. Is that what we need to do? I was invisible.
Just as soon as we can, we appreciate your patience. Baby, you lit the can.
Aha!
Hanging.
Solved it. Hey, look at that. I don't know what was going on. It was just terrible. Like my camera just I had to unplug it and replug it. That's, all I had to do was crawl under my own desk. Sometimes that's the only solution. Audio's good at least? Okay, good. I hate when I try to explain stuff, and while I'm giving you the explanation, I'm in a silent movie. It's terrific. Daily Dose of Sanity. Yes, the Daily Dose of Sanity is here. By the way, it's, I gotta say, I'm trying so hard not to schaden the Freude out of this shit, but it's gonna be difficult. I'm just telling you. Let me go straight to, let's see, I think I have, yeah, we got a bunch of this stuff. Yeah. Well, here, I'll show you some a footage of sort of what's going on inside Tucker Carlson's mind right now. Something like that. That seems to be what's going on inside Tucker Carlson's head currently. Yes, I am 55. It's true. You can't drive me. So the audio was shit. Are we okay? All right, there you go. Now, obviously, I'm gonna have to jump around on this next one. I almost feel like the opening will be enough. I have not. It's a whole program, so we're not gonna watch all of it because that would be sheer madness. And a lot of times when I'm breaking down the right-wing stuff, if something is an hour, it's got 5 hours of lying in it for me to break down and go through each piece. So that's always the tough part, right? I know what you're going to say, too. When I show you this next image, chat room, by the way, hit the like, share the show, Venmo, etc. When I show you this, the title of this video, you're going to say redundant, and I have no, here we go, 3, 2, 1, redundant. It got ugly is the title of this video. This is from the Rubin report, the Rubber report, the Rubin report. Is that his name? Dave Rubin? Dave Rubin. He used to be on, he used to do the Rubin over at the Young Turks, and now he's just rubbing on his own. It's The Lonely Rubin is the show, I think. But this is, what's great about this is I'm just enjoying, so if you don't know, there's been a big back and forth between Trump and Tucker Carlson, who, and all these guys like, he's a warmonger now, and blah, blah, blah. Trump, and he's, owned by the Israelis got to him, or they've got compromat. And it never occurs to these assholes that he was just a liar and they were just a sucker. I mean, if you're going to use Occam's rubber mallet, start hammering, dum-dum. So all of them are convinced that a change has occurred, and apparently that's the only thing that hasn't happened, which is these guys, the only change that needs to occur is these guys eventually realize that he's a bullshitter, and that he continues to bullshit them, and they continue to lap it up in its most liquid form. So check this out. Hold on. I don't care. Okay, here we go.
Hey, Rubin. This is the Rubin Report. It is June 17th in the year 2025. We are live streaming on Rumble, YouTube, and Locals. We are crushing it in the subscriber game. I don't ask much from you good people, but when I do, you really come.
It's the easiest way to remind people, instead of playing I noticed that 70% of my viewers aren't subscribed bullshit you'll see on our side of the aisle. On the right, they're like, everybody's subscribed but you, homo. Like, that's what they throw out. Chicken shit, what's wrong with you? Why aren't you subscribed? Everybody else is subscribed. What are you, weak? What are you, woke? Right, that's the thing. Like, everybody's subscribed but you. Better join now while the joining's good.
We got 6,000 subscribers yesterday. We are on our way to crush the 3 million by August 1st. Although, look at the numbers. It has dropped significantly since.
See, this is a sales pitch. Yeah, eat me. Yeah, go away. Nope, doesn't work. Shut up. Yeah. This sales pitch.
Oh, you know what? One more thing over there with Russell Brand and Sage Steele, Jillian Michaels, Roseanne Barr. We have a rotating cast of characters coming in every week. The link.
What? Sorry. Is everybody guilty of some sort of a crime of moral turpitude?
Is in the description below.
Don't care.
But yes, we have a lot to talk about today. I have extra paper in my file here. Trump, Tucker, Iran, Israel. Democrats, burning cities, migration, deportations, all of the words, adjectives, verbs, adverbs. I'm spitting while I'm talking. There's just a lot to do. So let's just dive right in.
Welcome to a new episode of Hey Asshole, This Is Your Problem, Not Ours.
I want to start with a throwback because, as we're watching some of the fighting right now, and I tried to address it as calmly as I could yesterday.
The fighting. By the way, for the record, he does not mean Israel and Iran. He doesn't mean Ukraine and Russia. He doesn't mean Sudan, certainly. Who gives a shit about Sudan, right? He's not talking about India and Pakistan, whether that could pop up again. No. He's talking about the only fighting that matters. Maggot on maggot crime.
And then, sometimes on Twitter, things aren't as calm as they could be. But one of the things that I'm coming around to right now is that Donald Trump has largely been right about everything, right?
No, absolutely not. Let's see. Doink. There we go.
Right? I always talk about being right directionally. You don't have to be right about everything. I'm definitely not right about everything. I often get political predictions wrong, but I think I have been, and I have a pretty good track record over the last decade of being directionally right about the big things. I haven't fallen for the hoaxes. I've largely been right about the big things.
All right, this is just him going to excuse Trump and the conspiratorial talk around him, right? This is just his way of walking that around. Because Glenn Beck's entire thing this morning was like, I don't want war. I've never wanted war, and I don't want war, and nobody on my side was war. And we all went through the thing where we were all pro-war, and now we're not pro-war anymore, and we were against the war. However, in the case of Iran, really the only option is to turn the sand to glass and kill everybody because they're a bunch of maniacs, right? That's always the whip around. There's this. It's like left, right, hook.
COVID, Russia, blah, blah, blah.
You were not right about COVID or Russia. The fuck is he talking about? And by the way, if you're going to say what you were right about, say what part of it. You can't just go, I was right about the Bible. In what way? Well, that the King James Version is more dignified than the others. And I think the modern translations lose a lot of the kind of gravitas, that you get from it. I was right about the Bible. What? If you read it backwards, it brings a demon. Thank you, Jennifer.
Trump has a way better track record on me. When it comes to being right on the important things, he's been right about almost everything. And
nope.
As we're at this interesting moment right now.
Interesting's a word.
Where the left is melting down. And
oh, you mean showing up for the No Kings rally and actually putting on massive get-togethers. By the way, absolutely peaceful, except for the violence acted upon those folks. Right? We had a person that was shot during one of them in Salt Lake City. We had but not coming from the actual march itself. There was a couple of cars that drove through them. But again, this is not violence by protesters.
We're entering this phase of the Israel-Iran war that America either has some
phase. Thanks, Roderick. Thank you so much. And thank you, Stacy. It was yes.
Subtly been involved or will be more actively involved, or there's some combination of that. We're seeing some infighting on the right. So I want to start with a little retrospective.
Infighting, that's what it is. Yeah, let's go back to where we all had a position and then pretend we never had it.
Perspective on Trump, because about 10 years ago, it was 2015. It's hard to believe how quickly this decade has passed. Everyone was laughing at Donald Trump when he said he wanted to be president, when he went down that golden elevator, which actually was 10 years.
Oh, the golden elevator. I didn't realize. I thought it was an escalator this whole time. But, technically it's a conveyance because elevators don't just elevate, nor do escalators. There is no word for a down escalator except a descalator. You can't escalate downward. So you've got escalators and nobody knows what the other fucking thing is called. One second. And nobody knows what the other thing is called. Thank you very much.
Years ago yesterday, believe it or not. And I want to start with this quick compilation. It's going to start with Ann.
Boring. Yeah, okay.
They laughed at Ann Coulter, and everyone laughed. And I suspect,
Yeah, and it's still ridiculous.
if I could find videos of mine from around that time, well, certainly I didn't support Trump the first time around, as you know, but I didn't have Trump derangement syndrome, but I did largely think it was just this like circus sideshow thing that many of us thought it was, right? And I want to give credit to the people that saw what he was and what the vision was.
Great setup, by the way. If you're going to say, hey, I was right about so many things in the right direction, and then just lead with where you were wrong.
And
sure.
Everything else.
I
think that's a nice way to start the show today, because look.
Hold on. Is my mic? No, my mic's okay. Hold on 1 second. I'll tap it up a little bit. Let's go. There you go.
You got Ann Coulter. If we're just doing a check mark. Ann Coulter, big check. You got it right.
Yeah, and she hates him.
Joy Reid, X. Jon Stewart, X. John Heilman. He's the guy that Russell Brand crushed.
And you're in the same.
On Real Time. You remember that clip? X.
No, I don't remember that clip. I'm too focused on the fact that he's got rape charges in 2 states. He's got 4 charges in each, but I'm certain that's the only people he did this to.
Mike Barnacle, I don't know if you're in the biz anymore, X. S.E. Cupp, I haven't heard of you in years. Ed Rendell, he was the former, he is alive. I wasn't sure if he was alive or not. He's the former governor of Pennsylvania, if I'm not mistaken, but he's long gone. All of these people. And Rachel Maddow, who's become like, the $20 million fraudster of all time. They were all wrong about Donald Trump. And that leads us to...
No. They thought he was ridiculous, and he still is. They just thought they had more faith in the American people. So they weren't actually wrong about Trump. They were wrong about the voters.
This moment, has this man who has been right about all the big things, who has fought the system has tried to jail him, it has tried to impeach him, it has literally tried to kill him.
It has literally not tried to kill him. Those were his own people. Fuck you. No, again, they do this all the fucking time. They. We know exactly who did it. Ask Trump. These were guys by themselves. Even Trump says so. So either he's full of shit, or you just can't face the fact that maggots are fucking nuts.
Does he deserve a little bit of our support right now, as he's trying to quite literally change the world? He's trying to end old blood feuds.
By draining the blood out of one side?
And I think he does. That's obviously what my position is. So now I want to get into a little bit of the spat between Trump and Tucker Carlson.
By the way, that was fucking gibberish. What was this?
Right now, as he's trying to quite literally change the world. He's trying to end old blood feuds. And I think he does. That's obviously what my position is. So now I want to get into a little bit of the spat.
You think he does want to, or do you think he does end? Oh, this is stupid.
Between Trump and Tucker Carlson.
Right.
So check this out from Leading Report. Breaking. Tucker Carlson says that if President Trump gets the U.S. involved in Iran, it would precipitate the downfall of the American empire and effectively end his presidency. So let me say first a little bit of a offshoot of what I said yesterday, which is that a lot of the people who are radically against Trump right now
are maggots.
I think in some sense have a legitimate argument, right? There's a legitimate argument when you look back at the American adventures over the last, let's say, 30 years.
Oh, I thought you were just because he was friends with Jeffrey Epstein for 25 years and the dude's an adjudicated rapist. Like, do you need another reason to hate this fucking guy? Do you really?
So if you look at Iraq under George W. Bush, or you look at Libya under Barack Obama.
Or if you look at E. Jean Carroll or other women under Donald Trump.
And you look at Syria and several of the other things that we've done. Afghanistan, obviously, we had a 20-plus year war that no one knew
and Joe Biden got us out.
Why we were at war at all. And then we had the most utterly embarrassing end of that war, horrific end.
Hey, fuck you. It ended. The most embarrassing thing is not ending it. If it's that embarrassing, nobody knows what it's for, every day after you realize that is the most embarrassing day. You know what isn't the most embarrassing day? The day you actually fucking ended it.
That war under Joe Biden.
I'm so sick of this fucking talking point. Joe Biden got us out. Eat shit. End of fucking conversation. Trump chickened out again.
But if you look at all of those adventures, there's a lot of reasons to be skeptical of our ability to do, let's say, positive things in that part of the world. So that's legit. I am putting a sticker, a bumper, little tag on that. That is a legit argument. But now I would like to offer something that maybe has a little bit more robustness and reality to it, which is the
reality. See, maggots, that's your problem. And he knows. Rubin knows. Rubin knows that you guys are under the impression that he's being held by, there's blackmail against him. Somebody's got Trump by the short and curlies, which are, I think, qualifies all the hair on his head except that weird flap he puts on the top.
How significantly the world has changed in those 10 years, from the laughing at Trump to Trump now being the two-time president who they tried to assassinate. And
No, nobody, fuck you with they. No, not they. You guys. If anything, if all liberals are on the hook for anybody who throws a fucking rock or a fucking can of soup at a riot, at a protest that turns into a riot, if that's all on us, both of those shooters are on you guys, because both of them were maggots.
impeach and end all of his businesses and everything else. He has radically changed the world. The Middle East is radically different. The Gulf states have
Radically, hold on. First of all, you could argue that the Middle East is radically different, but it's largely because October 7th happened and Netanyahu's response. It's not because of Trump. Sorry, did the Abraham Accords like rally everyone behind Israel? Was there a renewed alliance of, hey, settle down, guys, cascading across the Middle East once the fighting started? No, they've all been really fucking quiet.
modernized and have given up on a lot of the radical jihad insanity.
Yeah, you mean Saudi Arabia? That's because they ran out of oil, dummy.
The other countries right now that are all bordering Israel, as I said yesterday, 1947, 1948, they all jumped in to try to destroy Israel. 1967, they all jumped in to try to destroy Israel. 1973, they all jumped in to destroy Israel. They're not doing it this time because they're realizing it's there to stay. There is a new world that has been forged.
Okay, the Jordanians and the Egyptians didn't give up on the attempts to destroy Israel in the last 10 years. That ship sailed in the fucking 90s, dummy. And the same people who are trying to destroy them, namely the Hezbollah in southern Lebanon and some of the Syrian Islamic forces, and then of course, the Islamic Brotherhood hiding in northern Egypt, but it has nothing to do with the actual countries. It didn't stop those guys.
Say over these last 75 years. And Donald Trump 2 months ago in Saudi Arabia gave that speech and he said, get on board.
And they didn't.
Get on board the freedom train, the America train, get on board capitalism, and let's figure out how to have a positive world together. And Iran now, I think it is clear in Trump's mind that Iran is the last piece that is stopping the new world, the golden age, whatever you want to call it.
Yeah, because Syria is totally settled. The Lebanese government is rocking. There's not a single problem there. Shit, Turkey has no interest in rolling over the Kurds in that area. What the fuck?
From being born, and it's happening right now. And by the way, we're not doing anything as it relates to this. Israel is doing everything, right?
Right. So what the fuck does this have to do with Donald Trump?
We might be involved in some defensive measures.
Yeah, we might.
Or maybe we're going to drop a bomb on
We might makes right,
or something.
I guess.
But nobody wants American troops.
President of Texas says I can't with this poser. I know. Jesus Christ. This is fucking aggravating.
Or anything else. So, okay, I think you can see I'm trying to be...
You're trying to cradle Trump's balls and work the shaft. We get it.
As fair, and I'm trying to give the devil his due, and I'm trying to take the other position as much as possible.
Did you guys get that? He's trying to give the devil his due and take the other position as much as possible. Clear? This is the power of rhetoric.
Anyway, Tucker...
Is this Kirk Cameron in a bad disguise? Yes.
Obviously is going at Trump on
you,
this, I would say, Tucker is doing...
Try harder.
I would say is a mistaken attack on Trump.
Oh, shots fired.
Taking the pure libertarian position, which is we should not be involved in anything. And
Is that what it is? I've always been wondering what the pure libertarian position is, and it's apparently, according to this knucklehead, we shouldn't be involved in anything. Cool. I'm sorry, does the libertarian presidential candidate have to have this tramp stamped on his fucking lower back?
I don't think that Trump thinks that's what America First is. I think Trump thinks America First is that we have a moral authority in the world. So
Oh, no, he thinks we have a giant army and he wants to show it off.
Trump yesterday,
That's why he was mad about his pathetic parade, because nobody looked mean. He wanted all the soldiers to look all tough, and they were like, "Hi, kids," and he was like, "God damn it!"
outside the White House, was asked about Tucker.
Okay, what do you think about Tucker criticism against Tucker Carlson? In case you can't hear that, and for the record, I'm gonna guess clean up in aisle Tucker on Rubin's part.
I don't know what Tucker Carlson is saying. Let him go get a television network and say it so that people listen. Thank you.
That's by the way, that's not just a fuck you to Tucker Carlson. That's a fuck you to Dave Rubin. That's a fuck you to anybody on the Blase, any of that. Those aren't real networks.
All right, sorry, that was not outside the White House. Obviously, that was at G7, but
Obvious. It was well outside. It certainly wasn't inside the White House. We'll give you that. How about that? Technically, I'm outside the White House. I'm not just outside the White House.
So there's obviously some tension there. There's obviously some tension. I also want to say that for all the tension that we're seeing right now, remember, the left,
Most of it.
over the last however many years went insane, and they didn't know how to have any fights, and there was really no.
Oh, okay. Tell me you haven't seen my show without saying you haven't seen my show, Dave.
With the limited pushback that me and a few other people offered through the IDW and what we were doing online, there was a collection of old school liberals, but it was a very small group of us and almost no political people behind us that were offering some pushback of the lunacy of the left. What we're seeing on the right now, even though it's annoying and we don't want to see it, and
Yeah, it's annoying. We don't want to see it. But it's nothing. Thank you, Mamie. Yes, we got to get there.
there are people that were former friends that now seemingly are enemies and everything else.
Oh, it's so sad. It is. It is. And you hate to see it unless you like to see it, which I do.
Although who's better at bringing former enemies in as friends? It's Donald Trump. At least we're seeing some ideology.
That's right. I just asked Rex Tillerson or Christopher Wray or Mad Dog Mattis or everybody from his first cabinet except Stephen Miller.
Logical warring on the right, and I think
By the way,
is good.
and technically speaking, that's because you can't break Stephen Miller's heart because he doesn't have one.
Anyway, it seemingly is escalating with the Trump and Tucker situation.
It is? Yeah. You sure they're not gonna? I think it's gonna blow over.
And Trump put this up on Truth Social yesterday. Somebody please explain.
Okay, maybe it's not. The kooky thing is because the laugh.
Explain to kooky Tucker Carlson that Iran cannot.
Yes, this guy was on TYT. TYT births right-wing Magat grifters because that's how they start. They just I guess after a while, it's just mask off. This is just a mask off TYT host. That's what this is. Everybody thinks there was a change that happened with him or Jimmy Dore. It didn't. Oh my God, Obie Ranger. Thank you so much. Good Lord. That's so amazing.
Have a nuclear weapon. Okay, so
Thanks, Obie Ranger. You guys are so sweet to me.
that, by the way, has been Trump's position for over 10 years. If you want to end all of this, you can't have Iran threatening, it's not just Israel, but all of the Arabs.
Yeah, look, the best way to peace is to wipe out an entire country. What's hard to understand about that? I mean, it was inevitable. It was going to happen all along. Everybody knew it. No matter how much you tried to negotiate it with, it was inevitable. We've heard the word inevitable over and over and over again from these dickheads, right? Over and over. It's inevitable. It's inevitable. Well, if you think it was inevitable, then every word that came out of your mouth about there's going to be a deal, or he'll make a deal, or Trump will make a deal, or there's going to be a deal, was a lie.
States, even parts of Europe with a nuke and ballistic missiles and everything else. If this ends with Iran, if this ends right now, if the regime actually falls, if the people of Iran take their country back,
and peace cascades across the world like a blanket of liberty.
Think of what a blow it will be to worldwide terrorism. Their proxies, Hezbollah, the Houthis, Hamas have basically been completely destroyed. There will
Yes, and nothing's safer than a bunch of rogue terrorists cut off from funding trying to prove themselves to radicals with money the world over.
be no real state sponsor of terrorism. You know me, I'm not some Pollyannish, like, oh my God, we're gonna have kumbaya, utopian peace.
Kind of sounds like you are.
But there would be a massive shift in the worldwide psyche, I think, where it would be like, enough of this, enough of this. If you want to be on board the success train, which America
Yeah, I mean, this is the exact reasoning that led up to Hiroshima and Nagasaki.
is paving, which is why we have these
thank you,
great
Alexa.
relationships now in parts of the Middle East that we never had before, then you just have to put the ancient hatreds aside. And Iran is the only place that is really holding on to these things in any meaningful way. I've got another here from Trump on Truth Social. America first means many great things, including the fact that Iran...
It's not a fact. It is a position, it is a policy position, it is an idea, it is something, an imperative. You could call it imperative. You could make it be... Wish it could be more. Oh, thank you, Padre fan. You could say it's a prescription, even something that you intend, but that's not a fact.
cannot have a nuclear weapon.
I've heard the word fact used around it because they read this out loud on the air, and it's amazing. Like, people get hypnotized into thinking that word actually changes meaning.
Make America
It's like literally or figuratively.
great again. So he's really driving a stake in this, and he's saying, I'm the one that created America first. I know what MAGA is. I'm the duly elected president of the United States, and I'm going to decide it.
That's right. And all you maggots who think, I don't want to go into a foreign war. I don't want to do this. You ran on something else. I didn't vote for this. Fuck you. Suck it up. Line up for the ball cradling and start lubricating your jaw up, because it's going to be a long night.
So now I want to jump back to a tweet that Tucker put out, I think 2 days ago, that I read yesterday, because I think we can start unpacking some of the nuance here. He wrote, the real divide isn't between people who support Israel and people who support Iran or the Palestinians. The real divide is between those who casually encourage violence and those who seek to prevent it.
Just for the record, that sentence could be read to absolutely reverse who he's talking about. You could say that people casually encourage violence by not stopping Iran, and the people who seek to prevent it are the people attacking Iran. That's why this is nothing speak.
Between warmongers and peacemakers.
Blah, 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 blah. Borrowed words on top of borrowed words. Sorry, Tucker Carlson is not a peacemonger. Sorry, he in no way is he interested in peace, or he wouldn't have gone to fucking Russia during this war on Ukraine. A war from Russia on Ukraine. It's not a war between Russia and Ukraine. It's Russia's war on Ukraine. And he went there, went to the fucking Moscow subway stop and went, oh my God, Russia's amazing. And then didn't spend any time in rural or normal Russia, where everybody actually lives a shitty, degraded, disgusting, sad life. Pissed all over those folks. Not interested. Just want to see the opulence, party like a Russian, and get the fuck out, and tell you that the Ukrainians want to ruin all this cool, like all the cool underage sex tourism that people like Scott Ritter enjoy.
Who are the warmongers? They would include anyone who's calling Donald Trump today to demand airstrikes and other direct U.S. military involvement in a war with Iran. On that
Okay, congratulations, guys. We're all clear.
list, Sean Hannity, Mark Levin, Rupert Murdoch, Ike Perlmutter, and Miriam Adelson. At some point,
Okay. Again, my Tucker laugh is pretty solid. Thank God I can't do the rest of that asshole's impersonation. It'd be torment.
they will all have to answer for this, but you should know their names now. Again, leave that up for just a second. This idea.
Yeah, but that's like saying you should know Tucker Carlson's name because he's the one who doesn't give a shit if Iran wipes out every Sunni country and Israel in the Middle East, because not our fucking problem. Who cares who the Germans are putting on train cars and sending to Poland? We are way over here in America. I mean, that's where America first came from. It was the American Nazi Party not wanting to get involved in World War II.
Casually incurring violence. Iran is the one who has put their proxies all over the Middle East and who has committed
Okay, so Rubin is protecting Trump in this.
terrorism all over the world. So pushing back against them is not casually encouraging violence. Actually ending them could, it might.
That's what I tell you. Didn't I tell you that's the argument? He flipped the argument. Getting rid of Iran. Maybe you're casual. How about that, Tucker? How about that, motherfucker? How about that? You're the one casually encouraging violence by letting these fuckers exist.
Right? It might not, but it might.
Can I say something real quick on a side note? Because this is important when we discuss all these things. These are very serious issues. And the existential threat of Iran with a nuclear weapon is a very serious thing. And the overstepping of another country and you know, the politics and the geopolitical implications of a preemptive strike in any circumstance is a very, very thorny briar patch to get, you know, to throw the world into. These are all very serious issues. And that's why it's ever more clear that the people discussing it, people like Rubin, people like Tucker Carlson, and people like Donald Trump and those around him are intellectually, morally, psychologically, and psychosexually incapable of comprehending the depth of the actual complexity of the issue. They cannot wrap their tiny little pea brains around it, and therefore they blather bullshit around the edges and spend half the time kicking their own ass. That's why, I mean, Tim Pool's the greatest example of this. Now, I'm not telling you what to believe. I'm not even sure what I believe, right? That's where they all are. So while I'm discussing these things, and make sure you know that I'm going to mock the living shit out of these guys and throw, you know, all kinds of monkey wrenches into their stupid fucking argument. But it has nothing to do with the material, like, elements of this conflict. Because that's not what we're discussing here at all. What this asshole is discussing has nothing to do with the politics of Israel and Iran or whatever. It's the fact that these assholes have run at 60 miles an hour like a crash test dummy into a wall of, holy God, Trump has been bullshitting me this whole time, and I didn't give a fuck about it when it was happening to other people, but now that it's happening to me, and I'm smashing against it, you know, I'm starting to recognize why I've got all these fucking circles painted all over my face, because everybody saw this coming but me. None of this has anything to do with Israel or Iran or Gaza or fucking any more than it has to do about Sudan or the economics of China or fucking India, Pakistan for that matter. It is all about maggots finally starting to realize that they have been sold a bill of goods. And this real difficulty that they all have, and we saw it with Vinny and those dickheads on the Peanut Butter Dickhead podcast and those folks, where they can go, somebody who was close to Epstein is keeping the evidence out of the public eye, and it couldn't possibly be Trump, who said he wouldn't release the stuff on Fox News. It couldn't be that. It's got to be somebody else. It's got to be the deep state. It's got to be a cabal. There's got to be somebody out there that's manipulating. Maybe they've got him. They've got compromise against him. Maybe he's being blackmailed. Or maybe you're a fucking moron, and he always said he was going to act this way, and you just selectively listened while the rest of us were going, hey, asshole, tariffs don't work, and this motherfucker thinks he can kill somebody and get away with it. That's what this is about. There's a temptation in many situations when we're watching this kind of back and forth to start even getting involved in the conversation about Iran, Israel, first strikes, whether preemptive strike is the only thing that you have to save, you know, or even if you're allowed to do something like that. What are the rules of war? Is Israel going too far? It was October 7th, the predicate by Iran to say that this is actually when the rest of the war is coming, and it was just the first strike to draw them into this so that you could wear them down, maybe lower how many munitions they have, and then Iran could strike from this side with Hezbollah and the Houthis, which is actually how it played out. But maybe that was the plan, maybe it wasn't. But that's a real conversation. That is a real conversation. That's not what's happening here. This is a bunch of guys walking away from a table where they just lost the rent money at 3-Card Monte going, fuck, I thought it had to be a second one. I don't know. That guy's good. It was rigged, you dumb motherfucker. And we were all standing there going, dude, it's fucking rigged. We continue.
Also, as I said yesterday, someone's leaking in the White House. How
But enough about Trump's catheter.
is it that Tucker knows and would have well, what I would say is the audacity to put out a list of who Donald Trump is on the phone with? How is he getting access to that?
What are you talking about? These are people who've spoken out and know him personally. So if they're saying this to their audiences or have articulated this on social media, the idea is that if they're close to him, they're calling him. If they're calling him to say anything, this is what they're calling it. This isn't insider information. This is fucking rudimentary baseline educated guessing.
That seems like a real problem, having nothing to do with the meta problem of Iran and Israel and the war and everything else.
So meta. You know what I mean? Like, it's so meta. It's so meta.
That seems like a problem, right?
It does.
But also just the basic idea, I know you guys get it, of peace through strength. When there are bad actors out there who have terror.
Yeah, but peace through strength doesn't come from fucking flinching. And I grew up, I was accused of causing potential trouble by my apartment manager by hanging a sign and sitting on the sidewalk alone in No King's Day during the time frame. Well, I appreciate it, Colleen, and I like that you're a troublemaker. It's good trouble. Sorry, let's back up and grab this piece again. I got distracted. Hold on, let me start this reference again.
Like a problem, right? But also just the basic idea, I know you guys get it, of peace through strength.
Right. So peace through strength doesn't work if all you ever do is flinch. If you do that fucking redneck thing where, like, I grew up all in school and everybody would walk up to you and go like that to see if you'd like flinch and put your hands up. Now, I always made the case in those situations, like, made you flinch. I'm like, what am I going to do? Let the next dumbass punch me without putting my hands up? Fuck off. If you want to take a poke, take a poke. Sorry, you're having flashbacks from last night with your mother, whatever. I don't know what I was talking about. But when they would do shit like that, I'm like, okay, all right, come on, right? Eventually, you're going to have to put up or shut up, right?
When there are bad actors out there.
Yes, and I think it's cruel to bring up Kevin Sorbo right now because he's having a rough one on shitter.
Who have terror proxies all over the world, who commit state-sponsored terror.
Is that what it? I mean, that's what I would describe his movies as. I mean, most people on Rotten Tomatoes call Kevin Sorbo's acting career an act of terror. That is true.
And everything else, who have tried to assassinate Donald Trump, as the Iranians have. Do you just say, oh, well, we just want peace, right? If you live in a little village and there's a village next to you, and you're just a peaceful village, you're just nice people, you're like the hobbits, you're little people with your hairy feet and your small huts. And
it's a really weird way to describe Jews in general.
You don't want to bother anybody, but on the other side is a bunch of, orcs? And they're really nasty people, and they just...
Okay, don't delve into references you don't get, shithead. Anyways, you see what he's doing. He's like running cover for this and trying to explain it to his audience. It takes an hour for him to explain this shit. Now, real quick, let me show you something really embarrassing. This is, among other things, ladies and gentlemen, this is a press briefing by the State Department. Tammy Bruce. Bruce! Don't bring me down, Tammy Bruce! Don't bring me down. Do. Now that's stuck in my head. You're welcome. All right. Press briefing. Now, it's 35 minutes long, this press briefing. But I'll show you. She has no idea what the position of the State Department is. No idea what Trump's position is. No idea what she's actually supposed to say except hand out and a fucking phone number if you happen to be in Iraq or Israel or Iran and you need to call a consulate and get the fuck out, right? Check this out. This is amazing. Jesus. What just uncomfortable.
Hi, everyone. All right. Welcome back. Appreciate you being here. Thank you.
Get on with it.
Everyone's set? We're good? Great. Welcome aboard.
Okay, by the way, nobody bothers to ask that if they're raring to go or they have something to say. If you're not there to get this hot off the presses information, you're in trouble. If it's a press briefing and I walk in, okay, ladies and gentlemen, please, obviously there's something that has happened over here. We want to give a direct statement and I'll take some questions in the end. Right now, the State Department is dealing with an international incident that puts some of our, our expats and other people in danger. We want to make sure that they get the number that they can reach out to if they need to get out of these areas. And I'm going to express a couple of things. And if you'll, we're going to have a checklist of what they need to go through. Let's start here. And if people are late coming in the room, that's their ass. But if you're like, I don't know, what the fuck am I supposed to tell? What the fuck am I supposed to tell? Well, how am I? This is my. God damn it. Hi. I earlier today, and I probably will get a copyright strike if I show it. So I'm not going to, even though it's like only a minute. But the Spies Like Us press conference scene with Chevy Chase, where they're talking about spraying subsidies, and the people are asking him questions, and they're like, what about the Paraguayan military's request for spraying subsidies? Are there any Paraguayans here right now? No, it's just, well, I understand that as it were, the requests were for subsidies and spraying were not Paraguayan as it were, and that's been our position, that it would always be that. Is that clear? And he goes, he's leaving, and the guy goes, well, and the guy reads off a quote like, what do you say to this? That there's clear evidence that there's been spraying subsidies, throughout, 3 countries in South America. Well, I think the first, and I would say that would try, excuse me, Mike's lunch date, so must go.
Everyone.
That's what we're seeing.
Thank you again for being here.
That's 3.
For generations, the Middle East has been dealing with the world's largest state sponsor of terrorism, with the attack on Israel on October 7th by Hamas, reminding us of what's at stake. Due to the wisdom of the American people, President Trump's election
Oh my God.
to a second term has offered the world a chance to see an American leader committed to solving many of the world's
existential problems, until he gets bored and is like, I don't know, they can't reach a deal, I'm not gonna do anything. No. If they can't be in a deal by next week, I mean, really, I'm out. This is just stupid. What do you want? What kind of fucking commitment do you want from me? One of my ex-wives is buried on a fucking golf course with no headstone, where her children occasionally play golf, and they couldn't even find her in the fucking bushes. Commitment. Listen to this bitch. Right, that's
existential threats with determination.
Now watch this drive.
Now, as the conflict between Israel and Iran continues, President Trump has also been clear that Iran cannot have a nuclear weapon.
When did this happen?
Secretary of State Marco Rubio has also stated that fact.
Yeah, and it's not, it's not a fact. It is not a fact that they cannot. It's a fact, perhaps, in your mind that they may not sit down. If you have a nuclear weapon, you will go to your room without pudding. But can? They absolutely can. They're capable of it. The idea is that right now they have the trigger mechanism. They technically have ballistic missiles. They may not have intercontinental ballistic missiles, which is the big fear, but they definitely have ballistic missiles that could carry a warhead. And the question is, do they have enough uranium for the actual rocket? That would be the weaponized uranium. That's the last part of it, right? The question about whether they have the trigger mechanism is anybody's guess, but it seems like they do. So can is not the question.
He has traveled the world working to implement President Trump's vision of peace and security. That
until he gets bored.
Statement has also been uttered from this podium many times.
Right. So don't pretend you didn't hear it. It was posted on the bulletin board at work all week.
The fact that Iran cannot have a nuclear weapon.
Not a fact. It's a fact that they can. In your mind, it may be a fact that they may not.
Is clear. As the White House...
It's not clear.
Reminds us, since taking office, President Trump has clearly stated no fewer than a dozen times that Iran cannot be allowed to have a nuclear weapon, for anyone who's unclear on that fact.
I'm still unclear on that. They cannot because they're incapable, or they cannot because you won't allow them to, in which case they may not. But may doesn't sound as tough as can, so you say can instead, because it's got a k noise.
President Trump has made the same pledge no fewer than 40 times before taking
Yeah, but he also said that about getting us out of Afghanistan. He blew that the fuck off.
office, even as far back as 2011. One of the highest priorities of the Trump administration is the safety and security of the American people.
Well, then why did you get rid of the old Iran deal without having a new Iran deal?
To that end,
Thanks, Colleen. I think you cleared the thing and we made our goal. That's so sweet. Doesn't mean you have to stop super chatting, but it is very nice. So I will be doing a 30-minute AMA after the show.
the Department of State has established
physics nerd.
the Middle East Task Force to
Yes. In 1963.
help coordinate support for U.S. citizens, our U.S. diplomatic missions, and personnel and diplomatic engagement. The
Yes, thank you, Democrats, for doing the hard work of putting together groups like this, because one day they will be necessary.
task force is operating 24 hours a day. Over the past week, to help keep U.S. citizens informed, we have
AMA is an Ask Me Anything.
issued more than 30 security alerts to countries in the region and updated the travel advisories for Iraq and Israel. We remind U.S. citizens not to travel to Israel or Iraq and not to travel to Iran under any circumstances.
Are you listening to me? Reporters who are in the building right now and cover the Pentagon, who very well may be assigned to go to Iran and
We continue to monitor the complex and rapidly evolving situation on the ground as we continue to
what about the rapidly and complex evolving and complex operation in the sky? So that seems to be a part.
assess and address the needs of U.S. citizens. We urge all U.S. citizens to regularly visit travel.state.gov.
You know I do. That's right, yeah. Send my Pornhub search results. Dirty.
For the latest travel advisories and security updates. And
Yeah, I've got to fly. I got to drive to Chicago this, or to drive to LA this week, and then we got to fly to Chicago in a couple weeks. We're gonna also go to Kentucky for a little bit. So I'm gonna check in with travel.state.gov to check some of the states I'm going to, because some of them are kind of fucked up, namely Ohio.
to enroll in the Smart Traveler Enrollment
I was born there, I'm allowed to say.
Program, also known as STEP, to receive timely alerts and guidance from the State Department. For Americans needing assistance, and there we have a bit of the website there for you.
It's fabulous. Well, hold on. Do I have to put? Hold on. https://www.
Call +1 202 501.
Yeah, the +1 part is you're calling America. If you're overseas, you probably know how to call the states.
4444. That number again is +1
That would be America's prefix. So that's the
202 501 4444. If you're on that website, you can also click on that red box. It will
You bet.
take you to a page where
Quit it.
you can search for the embassy of your interest, where you are, where you would like to connect to be able to get help from the embassy in the country where you are.
What kind of help are they giving? I mean, do they have a singles night, or is there? I've got a flat. Can my embassy help with that? I don't want to ask silly questions, but I don't know any other kind.
And of course, the numbers there as well. For
Yes, they have an ice cream social in the basement, obviously, because of the shelling.
your closest U.S. embassy. I also want to add a couple other things here as we're dealing with this. It is certainly a rapidly evolving dynamic, but to conclude the topper here today, I want to recognize the State Department and other U.S. government teams around the world working under threat on behalf of the American people, particularly those in Israel and Ukraine.
This is very nice of you, But you do realize none of that is helping the people who might be in those countries who need to, what's the word I'm looking, what's the phrase I'm looking for? Get the fuck out?
Who spent another night sheltering in bunkers as they came under attack. Our priority...
And some of them did it, quite frankly, even though they didn't have to. Wow, 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 wow. I could feel it. Sorry.
Is the safety of Americans overseas and here at home. It is the priority of Secretary Marco Rubio. It is the priority of everyone who works in this building.
I'm sure it will make all of them feel better as they're running through the streets trying to make it through the gate like Elizabeth Shue in The Saint.
And the thousands of American citizens.
And I think also one of the things I would give if I was, giving this press briefing is never leave the country without a pocket knife that has a decoder, a lockpick, and one of those welding flints that you can do a temporary minor metal cut with, which is really cool, even though you probably need to wear gloves. Okay.
Who work anonymously and whom you will never see, who are working in embassies and...
Why? Well, they won't be there when I knock? This would be terrible. Imagine being overseas and watching this and going, these people work very hard and you will never see them. What? I'm on my way there in a cab right now. Yeah, they're probably not there. They probably left.
Consulates around the world and working with those local nations to be there for American citizens and to help facilitate American diplomacy. Our priority is the safety of Americans, yes, here at home, but also overseas. We thank all of those working on behalf of the American people, all of you watching from home and from around the world. We thank you, and for everyone around
around the world,
the nation, we know.
Or nation, sure.
And honor your work as we begin another briefing here, ready to take your questions. All right, yes.
I feel so much better, don't you? Can you imagine being like out in the... Oh, by the way, this is the... See if I can find this. They auctioned it off. So sad. Hold on. Somebody's got it. Prop store auction. How much did it go for? Whatever it was a steal. Estimate 860. Oh, that's actually not terrible. This is the prop. This might be not the actionable prop. This is the knife from The Saint. There's a little knife part of it. There's a little key thing in the end. You pull this other piece out, and there was like a little pin you pulled out, and it lit up, and you could weld. You could melt one piece of metal. Just saying, somebody should make those for everybody, because if this moron is in charge of these things, you're going to need one.
Yes, hi, Tammy. Thanks. Thanks for that. Could you give us some more details on this?
Nope. I'm going to go out on a limb, and may I? Thank you. Can I interject here? No. I don't think she's got, I don't think she has any details at all, Joe Rogan. I think she smokes crack.
Task force.
I don't know why I need to do that.
How it's going to work.
Tyrone Bigum's moment.
Specifically, if it's going to help Americans potentially leave the region, be repatriated, or...
What do you think the odds are that she has no fucking idea?
Depending on the countries that they're in, and any more details you can give on that.
Right. I won't be giving you, just as a reminder of how today is a little bit of a different day for the briefing. There is... Yes,
this is one of those briefings where I couldn't find my ass with both hands. So...
always things that I can't say to you. And yet we have a long back and forth. Sometimes we have a little bit of a debate. I won't engage in that today.
Because she has no idea.
My responses will be perhaps a bit quicker than usual, and I'll be moving around more quickly to reach as many of you as I can. There will be less that I can answer for you because of the circumstances that we're dealing with around the world. So it is, just want you to know, it's not personal, but we're...
Yes, it is.
Working on certain things, like the task force is an example. The task force is...
already exists.
A group of people who are working, taking the calls of people, of American citizens around the world. making sure that they get connected with what they may need in that region.
You don't say. And you guys are the first people to ever think of doing something like this, especially in an emergency. God damn.
I won't go into...
By the way, if you're watching this overseas and you need to bug out, here's what I would suggest. In the interim, before you make a move to wherever you are, pack a go bag, which has 2 days clothing, enough cash to kind of bribe one person or two people, your ID and that kind of stuff, or a copy of your ID, and if you want to keep the other one in a safe or something like that. You also want to call the embassy and let them know you're coming. And if nobody answers, leave a fucking message. Go, I'm this person, I'm a U.S. citizen, my name is this, and I'm going to come to the embassy today. I am on my way. Someone should actually expect me. And if nobody gets you through there, at least when you get there, you can go, I left a message for this office. I'm a U.S. citizen. They will let you in. And then they will take you someplace and make you sit in a room until they can prove it, but that's okay. At least you're inside. But have that go bag in case anything diverts and you got to go fucking hide someplace overnight or 2 nights before you can make it to the embassy. You're welcome. Oh, the Chinese fake driver's license story? Hold on. Somebody was like, I saw is Hal covering the story about all the fake driver's licenses from China made for Joe Biden for the 2020 election? No, because it's still an alleged idea. The FBI doesn't actually have any information on it, except that there was allegedly a plot to do it. There weren't any. There weren't like boxes of them. No shipments were actually found. It makes a great story. But ultimately, Joe Biden didn't need those to win. So there you go. Now, granted, if you're Donald Trump and you make all your hats in China, is it a big deal to offer some help to Xi Jinping or others to send those things and pretend they're for Joe Biden? That wouldn't be hard, would it? Right. Anyways, back to Donald Trump, the peace president.
The details of all that the task forces do, of course.
/ Jeffrey Epstein's wingman.
But it's about information, making sure people here at the State Department and people that we get the information we need, but also people around the world, American citizens, get directed to the information that they may need.
Yeah, nobody cares about interoffice memos, dipshit. These are people in war zones. They need to get out.
As well. So I'll leave it at that. But this is something that the State Department does when there's a situation that requires it.
You don't say.
And this is one of those times.
Tammy, I'm sorry.
Is it?
Sure, Matt. Sure. Of course.
The phone number that you get, if you call that number, which I can do right now, who do you get?
That's adorable.
You get an individual who is
task force,
no, you don't get the task force. That phone number is a general phone number. The task force is busy, but it is a separate unit.
Yeah, they're too busy for people who are in a war zone, are American citizens, and are trying to get out. They got bigger fish to fry, asshole.
That is established to take the calls to assist American citizens who call to the embassies. Particularly, you're going to be referred to embassies who can help you get what it is you need. So, good question. Thank you, sir. All right. Yes, Andrea.
Just a quick question. There's some specific consular.
Hold on. Wait. What did she call her? Did she call her Sandra?
To embassies who can help you get what it is you need. So, good question. Thank you, sir. All right. Yes, Andrea.
Oh, Sandria. Okay, sure.
There's
yes, Andrea.
Specific consular needs. One in particular that I'm aware of, and there may be more than one, is an American citizen in Iran, where there is no embassy, no consulate. Mm-hmm. Would that be the Swiss protectorate? Would there be other options? Is consular affairs give any?
Can they get their hands on a dirt bike? Yes, Andrea. It's an improv comedy tool, absolutely.
What you do?
Yes, Andrea was the name of my show at Second City.
About Americans right now stuck in.
I can't speak to any advice or information.
Andrea Martin directed it. It was. I'm kidding.
Regarding individuals
that would have been
Iran
awesome
at this point.
And what about American Israelis or Israeli Americans, either wanting to come out or wanting to get back home? LL, I believe, has resumed flights in some small measure for people who, some people have kids in Israel and they were visiting the States. And they're American citizens. Is there anything that they can do? Where should they call this number?
Well, obviously, if you know when
She has no idea. Just write down, this moron has no idea.
we encourage every American when you travel is to contact your local embassy or consulate, let them know you're there, make sure you know where they are, have those numbers. And that's what I would recommend, no matter where you're traveling, but certainly in the Middle East, is know where those entities are, know where the embassy is. So if you're in Israel, obviously it's Tel Aviv or it's Jerusalem.
Are they open?
Well, they
What are the hours?
will answer their phone. So there's contact.
Will it be someone on the task force that answers the phone? This is fucking useless. Yeah, like, how do you? By the way, don't get me wrong. I'm sure there are morons out there who go to a country that turns, the society around them falls or turns to shit at some point, and they're like, "Fuck, am I supposed to do?" But the first thing you think of is, "What's the number for the embassy? Let me get the fuck out of here." And if you don't think that, then you're there to be part of it anyways, and you're just gonna hunker. So stay out of the embassy's hair and just live with your life choices. Like, who the fuck needs that? All right. Anyways, you get the point. The White House has no idea what his actual policy is. And by the way, neither do any of his supporters, including, I would argue, this fucking thumb. Ladies and gentlemen, not without risk. Here's what's at stake amid the Israel-Iran conflict. Gee, I wonder.
Also tonight, thus far, Israel's air campaign, it has been a massive success. According to multiple reports, the mullahs of Iran are now begging for new negotiations.
I also believe, along with the idea that Trump vetoed the killing of the Ayatollah, I think this is bullshit coming out of the White House. I think they're leaking talking points that they think will make Trump look good with the anti-war maggots, because, and I shouldn't even call them that. They're not anti-war. They're they're non-interventionists or isolationists. They obviously don't give a shit if a war happens and if the aggressor destroys, rapes, murders, steals land of, all that kind of stuff. They don't believe, they don't give a shit about the colonization of Ukraine by Russia. None of that, right? So I don't believe this is an honest critique from them, okay? But I think beyond that, Trump's White House is putting out these bullshit ideas because maggots are getting, nervous.
Report.
MTG has turned, so they're like, fuck, we have to make it look like he's trying to be the peacemaker, otherwise they're all going to get mad. But they will fall right back in line. Thank you, Blue Voter.
Not confirmed, has the Supreme Leader negotiating asylum, possibly with Putin and Russia. Almost all of their top military commanders, they are now dead. Their top nuclear scientists, they're also dead. Their oldest ones and the ones that were in the program before, and one of the professors that ran the program years ago, whether he's still a part of it is anybody's guess. I don't know why he wouldn't, I guess. But whoever's in the actual underground bases that runs the thing hands-on, those guys are still alive because they're under, 80 meters of mountain. Ability to fire ballistic missiles, as you just heard from Trey Yangst, that is diminishing by the hour. Their weaponry slowly...
Wouldn't you feel much better as they say, hey, their ability to hit us with ballistic missiles is diminishing by the hour? Oh, okay, so I might be in the spot where they might give it the old heave-ho and try one last time before they get wiped out? Cool.
Being depleted and degraded, their nuclear aspirations, they are quickly coming to an end.
Yeah, you're talking out of your ass. You have no idea. Fodor, which sounds like a place in Lord of the Rings, is their main enrichment site. Again, it's 80 meters below the earth. You're going to need a bunker buster to hit it. They're absolutely moving forward on these kind of things. Their ability to fire a missile would be your primary concern, and you have no idea if and when they have built a silo or where that might be. And if you do, you'd hit that first and not tell anybody.
Which is good for mankind, as President Trump has emphasized over and over and over again.
That's the talking point, by the way. Let me be abundantly clear.
Every time you hear, he said it over and over again, they can't have a nuclear weapon. They cannot have a nuclear weapon. You heard the State Department say that. You've heard other people say that. That's a direct talking point that Sean got from the White House. He said it over and over again. He gave them all the warning in the world because the maggots are getting restless.
And he tried hard. He fought hard for peace.
See that?
Iran.
No, he didn't. He was like, you guys better do this or I'm going to kill you.
And cannot, in the end, have a nuclear weapon, period, end of sentence.
They can. You mean may not.
Take a look.
You want to see regime change in Iran?
I want to see no nuclear weapon in Iran, and we're well on our way to making sure that happens.
How can you prove a negative?
Now, that would be the Trump doctrine. I fully, completely support this doctrine.
That's not a doctrine. That's an element of policy. If the doctrine is no, the doctrine would be nobody can have a nuclear weapon except us or people we believe should have one. Only our friends can have nuclear weapons. That might be is that the idea? Because that would be the doctrine right now, including Russia, because he's
as the president wrote on Truth Social, America first means many great things, including the fact that Iran cannot have a nuclear weapon. Make America great again.
Cool. When did you get that tattooed on your upper lip?
The president also made one other point very clear. If we are attacked in any way, shape.
Oh, wait a second. Do you guys see the shuffle that's going on here? The one he just read is from today. This one is from 2 days ago. He's making it look like this came after. Whoops, sorry.
Or formed by Iran, the full strength and might of the U.S. Armed Forces will come down on you at levels never seen before. In the meantime, it appears that Israel's air campaign, now with full air...
By the way, those are 2 U.S. planes that they somehow got, F-14s.
Superiority. They own the Iranian skies.
They bought them or
achieved
something.
In just 4 days, will only be ramping...
Stole them from Kosovo or something like that. I mean, this is like right out of Maverick, where they find the old decommissioned ones.
Up at this point, they own the skies, they have all the leverage. But let's be clear, this conflict, any conflict, is not without risk. It is...
That's right, absolutely. I mean, you should see them order pizza.
Not without hardship. It is not without suffering. Also, part of the Trump doctrine is no more forever wars. I fully agree with that also.
Yeah, but most people, when you think no more forever wars, is these kind of grinding, going nowhere with no clear mission, on foreign soil that we don't really have a play in, and there's no upside to it, and the idea that we're going to, enforce democracy in this part of the world. That's what most people mean when they mean no more foreign, forever wars. What this asshole means and what Trump means is get it over quickly. Stop trying to protect civilian lives and just kill everybody already. The reason we have these forever wars is because you motherfuckers don't think this is war. That's why. That's what they mean. For real. You don't think these assholes are pacifists, do you? All of a sudden? Are you nuts?
With Israel owning the air over the entire country of Iran, the country now is suspect. They're going to lose the nuclear program. That is pretty abundantly clear tonight.
It is pretty abundantly clear.
But they could also lose their electric grid, which is gas-driven. That could be taken out just as quickly. All their refineries, which is
actually quicker, because they're above ground.
Their entire economy can also be taken out, and without a...
I don't know. I mean, I think food trade on the streets, between people would probably still be, humming right along.
Protracted war or boots on the ground doesn't make it risk-free. Everything has risk. However, the president is correct. The greater risk...
Did you hear that sniff right before you said the president is correct?
Risk-free. Everything has risk. However, the president is correct. The greater...
Yeah. He knows he's lying. That anytime these guys do the snort right after, like that, they need a big pull of air before they bullshit.
Risk would be to do nothing. In the face of a clear and present danger, the world cannot experience another Holocaust. Iran has proven over and over again, convert or die, death to Israel, death to America. And as the president repeats...
See, he breathes through his mouth when he believes what he's saying right now. Like, it's almost even like a form of panic.
Over and over again, Iran cannot have a nuclear weapon. Just noticed how Israel hits military targets. And look at what the Iranians are doing. They're terrorizing heavy populated civilian areas like Tel Aviv. Imagine the region with a nuclear-armed Iran, the #1 state sponsor.
Yeah, he's totally afraid of this broadcast. This is like, I couldn't even do a show like that where I was, every time I was finished a sentence, I'd have to breathe in through my mouth like that. This is, I mean, you might as well be watching like Fight or Flight Hour with Sean Hannity.
Terror, pledging to wipe Israel and the U.S. off the map, fighting proxy war after proxy war after proxy war. I brought this up last.
There we go. Proxy war after proxy war after proxy war. He ran out of proxies.
Last week, ask yourself how many rockets, if they were fired into our country by the #1 sponsor of terror, and they were threatening to wipe us off the map, how many rockets would it take before every American demanded a military response from their government? Israel now for decades has been the target of tens, not hundreds of thousands of rocket attacks. Now
Yeah, we know the justification for it, shithead. And again, I did it. I'm sorry. I apologize, guys. I got caught up in this. I started, I wanted to discuss the actual merits of the story here. Do you think this motherfucker is saying this because of you and me? You think he's trying to convince us? You think he would dedicate this much time to the sales pitch to get us on board with this? This guy doesn't give a fuck what you and I think. This show is entirely about the collapse of MAGA. This is an answer to the fact that the guy that used to go on the hour after him, or before, was it before? It was before him, right? The guy that went on the air right after him, got it, CSL, look, is taking a giant shit on the president, who he is, this might as well be Caroline Leavitt and drag we're watching here. He's a spokesperson for the White House now. All that shit they say about MSDNC and all that kind of shit, I got news for you. Not everybody at MSNBC was on the fucking train trying to, in the last election cycle. And a lot of them were like kneecapping Biden for a year and a half in relatively subtle ways compared to others, leading up to the actual election itself. But not at Fox. Yeah. The point Magat's Lizard Worship. Oh, yeah. Oh, this is from the Realtor, Realtor.com. Jesus. Oops, hold on. Reopen. Hold on, let's see. Sean Hannity, Florida mansion. He's got a. Oh, those guys. Realtor does not want to open up. It's being weird. Okay, I'll open it up. So if I was a. Oh yeah, they're still. Huh. There you go. There you go. Fox News star Sean Hannity pays $23.5 million for a Florida home less than a year after leaving New York. You know why? Because he's a blue-collar guy who gets you, America. He gets you, maggots.
Ballistic missiles, they're getting more powerful than ever. 2,000 pounds, and the Iranians, according to reports, they want 4,000-pound ballistic missiles. That can cause...
God, dude, the heaving. It's weird, isn't it? Like, should Sean Hannity, that's our poll for the evening, should Sean Hannity wear a CPAP during his broadcast to protect his own life, or it's just funny watching him gasp?
There's a lot of damage in a city like Tel Aviv. I've been there. What would you want a U.S. president to do?
Well, I certainly wouldn't want him to do what he said he could do in Fifth Avenue without losing any support.
And that is exactly what Israel is facing. Iran wanted to wipe the world's only Jewish state off the map, and with each passing... Today, the Islamic Republic was getting closer and closer to achieving that goal. During both the Obama and Biden years, Iran was
Okay, sniff before the bomb part.
able to do pretty much whatever they wanted. I blame both of them for enriching the uraniums. I blame both of them, especially Biden, turning a blind eye to the sanctions that were bankrupting them that Donald Trump had put in place. They stockpiled thousands of ballistic missiles.
Yes, and Biden and Obama allowed them to get weapons of mass destruction, which is why we have to go in.
They were able to use that money to foment terror all over the region.
To foment? They were fomenting the terror? When did this happen? I would like to see reports of them fomenting terrorism. Hold on. I've got to shrink this back down. I don't know why this did this, but okay.
So they were able to use that money to foment terror all over.
To foment terror. They were vomiting terror all over the Middle East.
Over the region, and build out their nuclear program and enrich uranium at a far more rapid pace. They're armed. They have armed their proxies to
the Iran file.
The teeth, all while declaring, what they want, what their state.
Well, I guess what other kind of declarations are there?
Goal is, and while Israel has neutralized Iran's top proxies, the nuclear program, the country's missile production capabilities, they were picking up speed. And
U.S. fears Iran's response to Israeli strike could be a mass casualty event. I mean, it's a reasonable fear in response to a strike that was in response to a strike that was in response to a strike that's been going back and forth like a ping pong ball for decades.
About a month, a nuclear holocaust would have been a real possibility.
No.
That is not a risk that any country should ever have to face. Unfortunately, the so-called party of compassion doesn't seem to care. In fact, the base of the Democratic Party, others with extreme views, they seem perfectly okay with the virulent anti-Semitism in the halls of Congress, on college campuses, and worldwide. And, from the river to the...
Yeah, so that's the whole thing, by the way. If you're a maggot and you side with, if you're side with Tucker against Trump, you might as well just be a Columbia protester, trying to support Hamas. That's what they're selling. Okay, real quick dip in on this next piece, kind of on a side note, but CSL pointed this out because and you're absolutely right. So the Blase loves to dunk on Jasmine Crockett. She's their new AOC because I guess AOC is not dark enough to scare maggots, right? And so enjoy with me, if you will. Come along. It's Hal Sparks Megaworldwide. Come along. The greatest live stream in the history of live streams. I'm your host, Hal Sparks. Come with me as we enjoy a woman setting up her own face plant.
See, how often...
Hold on. Shut up.
Talking about all of the,
was she just filming her OnlyFans and took a break?
sanctuary city hearings and everything that's happening. Everyone was thinking, I want to hear from Jasmine Crockett. What does Jasmine Crockett think about sanctuary cities? Well, you're going to be shocked to hear that she wants you to know that this is about white supremacy or something much.
Okay, so if she mentions white supremacy, she means the thing is about white supremacy. She's not making a comparison. Gotcha.
They love to cherry pick. They can find, any one person that has been killed. And if they've been killed by an immigrant, then God darn it, every single immigrant is going out and they are killers. And that is the problem. But they don't want to talk about white supremacy. I don't know how many hearings we going to have about the fact that there's been this one immigrant that killed this one person. And no, I'm not excusing any killings by them or white supremacists. But they haven't had these hearings. We didn't have a hearing on Buffalo and what happened.
Oh, this is the part where she kind of runs aground. Watch this. Because Crockett lists the actual white supremacist mass shooters and...
there. We didn't have a hearing on El Paso and what happened there. We didn't have a hearing on Charleston and what happened there. So it's interesting that they pick and choose.
I don't know. Do you guys know what she's laughing at? Because, it's a good point. It's kind of actually shocking that we didn't have a hearing about those things. It's not shocking that while Mike Johnson's in charge, we ever would. But... compared to these other things.
Because it seems like they love to pal around with the white supremacists, and so they don't want to talk about certain other things.
Is this woman is just on loop. This is all she knows how to talk about. White supremacy. Wait, hold on. I got to do the next.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
It's pretty good, right?
I got my glasses on. I got my Jasmine Crockett glasses on.
Glasses. Oh. Yeah, you can't do the swivel. You can't.
God damn, this got sad real quick. They used to have a studio. She's on the road doing one of these Charlie Kirk events or something. Is that what it is? I mean, look, I would spend a moment, making a point about, neck leans and shit like that if you just eaten shit so badly as she listed 3 white supremacist mass shooters. And I get the feeling that neither of these assholes actually, maybe Buffalo, but they have no idea what she's talking about. That those were actual, specifically killers that were killing as white supremacists. They were trying to kill minorities because of their skin color.
I can't do that because I've got a bad neck. I'll do that and I'll be stuck. It'll be a crick in my neck. I mean, this woman she's gradually becoming more and more a stereotype. I mean,
fuck off. Okay. You get my point. This has to be about her culture, her skin color, her behavior, her language. It can't be based on the facts that she just laid out. We go after a single person killed by a single immigrant, and you paint all immigrants that way. We've got 3 mass shooters and now a political assassin who were Trump supporters all, and white supremacist killers in 3 cases, and in the other case, a pro-life murderer, which wrap your fucking head around that. And all 4 of those people were, again, absolutely Trump voters. These guys, they're not going to have a hearing about this. They're going to shut down the border over that shit, right? They're not going to try, enforce this kind of quell these things, go after these organized groups to make sure that there aren't more people like this. That's what you would have a hearing for. Anyways, gross morons, as you do. And okay, so we checked in with Bull O'Reilly yesterday, and according to him, he spoke to Trump. Trump says that Iran will fold.
Earlier today, very briefly, I texted with President Trump.
Oh, kids today. Fucking screenagers, am I right?
He doesn't want to use American air power at this point.
At this point.
Because that would cause some problems with China and Putin.
Oh, you mean his handlers?
He would rather have the Iranians surrender, which he believes they will. Now, that's what he believes, that the mullahs are through. They will have to sign a deal. The deal will be that the weapons inspectors go in to all of the places that are working on the nuke.
Right.
They identify what they have, and then the Iranians themselves, under supervision of the United Nations, would destroy a lot of their arsenal.
Sure. Cool story, bro.
That's what the deal would
He texted you this?
Entail.
Okay.
Mullahs don't want to do that, obviously, but President Trump believes that will happen.
Yeah, he also believes tariffs will work, and obviously he's had to reverse course on that shit, too.
And the
why does he believe he can trust
why
the Iranians?
It's not a matter of trust. This is going to happen real fast so that the weapons inspectors would be in there. They would identify what's happening.
Bullshit.
And then the mullahs would be ordered to destroy it on the spot. If they didn't, then they'd be...
with what, a hand grenade? What are you talking about?
Teens would go up. Now, the signal that the mullahs got, that they're panicking about, is the flight out of Tehran. And that's why the president mentioned it. Get out of town. So there are about 10 million people in town. Their lives are disrupted. They are afraid. They don't like the mullahs anyway, most of them, particularly the younger Persians. They don't like the mullahs. The mullahs now are sensing their army may turn on them.
Right. No, they aren't. That's just made up. He's just pulling that out of his ass. I don't doubt that he texts with Trump, but Trump didn't text like, "Hey, I got word from Tulsi that the army's going to drop their fucking rifles and turn on the mullahs."
And it's entirely possible that would happen. So what President Trump's strategy is to play this out a little longer, because Israel is getting stronger while Iran is getting weaker. You just said they're running out of ordnance. They can't replace it. We're also having food shortage.
By the way, they have 3,000 missiles and they didn't fire them in that last round. Now, it might be that it isn't that they've run out of ordnance, it's that they run out of the launchers. That might be part of the problem too. If you blow up the place where they're going to launch it from, it gets really fucking complicated trying to set off a rocket like that. And if your planes can't take off, if they're going to, some of these rockets are going to come from planes in the air, and you don't have air dominance, you can't fire them from there either. So it's not about they don't have the missiles, it's they don't have anything to launch them from. Which again, this is goes to the nuclear issue. If you're gonna, maybe you can't get the thing underground, but you can effectively bury it so they can't get to it.
It's tough to get food in there now, and Iran does not grow enough food to feed its population.
What's for dinner, darling? We've got poppy, and we got poppy and sweet poppy gravy, and we got fried poppy, and we got grilled poppy, and shrimp fried poppies. And poppies, which is the snack that you eat when you watch the Wizard of Oz.
On the table. And the signals are coming from the mullahs. Now we're serious. Now we'll make a deal according to the president.
Gibberish. A bunch of these guys are trying to make Trump look like the deal maker because they know it's going to require a bombing. And so they want to excuse him beforehand.
We heard that. Or at best...
Shut up, Sniffy. So they need, to say, well, Trump has tried everything. Now, obviously this is just happening, so it's very exciting. Let's check in with Kyle Kulinski. Major breaking, reporting for duty, sir. Oh, I'm sorry. Is that your vase? Something very, very bad is happening. Evergreen. Does Crystal know? I mean, it is Pride Month.
All right, guys, I have some really horrific breaking news here for you. So, unfortunately, it looks...
Uh-oh. He's going to release an album.
Like it's about to go down. Something...
It is?
Very, very bad is about to unfold. So, a few things here. First of all, the Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu was on Israeli TV the other day. This is last night, I believe. And he said the following, quote, "Your hour of freedom is near. It is happening now. 80% of the people of Iran despise the regime, just like Cyrus the Great freed the Jews. Now it is your time to be free. Rise up and make Iran great again." So the key part there is your hour of freedom is near. It is happening now.
Yeah, it's an ongoing fight. I think what he means is, I think we're supposed to assume that that means there's going to be a nuclear strike or some big like Moab hit on Tehran or something like that, instead of this is an ongoing campaign and it could end with you guys just overthrowing.
That sounds like it's already been decided and Trump is officially going to enter the war, in the sense that...
No, it doesn't. Netanyahu said that, and they're doing this campaign whether or not somebody gives them the go-ahead or not.
You have U.S. planes bombing Iran, potentially U.S. boots on the ground.
No, that's not what this means.
Here's another...
there aren't going to be boots in the ground. There'll be drones in the air and maybe bomber support. That's what they're talking about. But the idea that we're going to fucking put paratroopers in there is just stupid.
One for you. So, Israeli News Channel 14 said, Trump is expected to sign a presidential order in the coming hours to join the war.
Expected by who?
Now, by the way, let's be clear, and I'll come back to this in a second. You can't decide we're going to go to war by executive order.
Yeah, we know, but you can limited support for them. You can't put boots on the ground. You can't make an action in those regards, but you don't have to go to them immediately. It wouldn't be a declared war. If he has, let's check in, shall we? Let's see. Trump declares war. I don't know. I moved to limit Trump's war president. Okay. Pentagon live briefing. Trump threatens Iran Supreme Leader escalating rhetoric about the thing. 5 hours ago, live. It is. Trump says he's working on something much bigger. Threatens Iran Supreme Leader over nuclear program. 5 hours ago, he's working on something bigger. Declares total control of Iran's skies. Okay. Did Trump declare war today? No. New. Trump says we now have what? Okay, hold on. Amps up rhetoric. We now have total control of the skies. Okay, whatever. Same thing. Nope. Amps up rhetoric. He talks a big game all the fucking time. No indication Iran strike on U.S. sites is imminent. What do Iranian people stand with the regime? Where do they? Trump is considering a range of options, Iran including a U.S. strike. Bus depot in Israel hit by Iranian missile. Trump's meeting with national security advisors has ended. Situation room meeting with Trump and his national security advisors is now wrapped, according to a White House official. Mourners hold funerals for strike victims in Arab Israeli city. Israel's Arab minority is about 20% of the population. Descendants of Palestinians who stayed in the country in 1948. They're Israeli citizens, but many identify with the Palestinian cause. Iran killed a few of them. Widespread cyber attacks hit Iranian banks, ATMs, and internet access. Israel launches wave of airstrikes on Iran. Trump meeting with national security advisors. Top Iranian, they got bored and left. Top Iranian general threatens punitive actions against Israel. Loud explosions heard in Tehran. Yep, nope, not so far. This is 6 hours ago. Didn't happen in the near term. And I don't think that you can. I think he can go in an emergency. It's an emergency action, and we have to support Israel because they're defending themselves, and we can do this temporarily. But we're not declaring war on Iran to do it.
That's not a thing. That's not how it works. Congress decides whether or not we go to war.
Dude, have you seen Mike Johnson? You're not actually acting like shit still works, do you? Like it's supposed to. Of course, Kyle's one of those guys who was like, it's a coin flip between how bad Harris or Biden is versus Trump. I mean, it's really 6 of one, half dozen of another. So there's an illness going around in the thinking of that crowd that has a lot to do with, I don't know, it was, what's the difference really? Because Harris totally would have done this, right? Okay. Now, I normally, and out of my appreciation of some of the regular viewers, would avoid this, but I want to. Here, let's go straight to this because I feel like I haven't seen any of this. I jump in this.
Donald J. Trump gets elected in November on the back of this amazing coalition, unprecedented coalition, different parts of American society. You never thought of anything in common. Trump paints a picture that makes it really obvious that the old structure, left versus right, Democrat versus Republican, was basically BS. And
sorry, did you get a fever blister from your trip to the truck stop during that time? You told your wife that you saw a demon. What's my scrap with Kyle? Because he was a coin flipper. That was the thing. He was one of these people who said, and I don't have a big problem with him and Crystal Ball like that. I mean, both of them are sort of fine, but they're very close to that. Like, I mean, there's not that much difference between the two at a certain point if you really think about it, because they're all beholden to blah, blah, blah. So that was the problem. And there was obviously a huge difference. So anytime they're like, I can't believe what's going on, the reason they're saying that and the way they're saying it is because they actually believed that what they were saying in theory, or they have to act like they did. So, so Tucker's got the herp, and you know what? In his defense, everyone's lip might actually do that whenever Steve Bannon enters the room. All the flowers also die.
A control device, I think. This is my interpretation anyway.
Hey, look at all the gear and flags and T-stands in the back, whatever. So this is yet another like poser set that they have.
Okay. So he creates this brand new coalition. New York Times writes almost nothing about it because it's such a massive threat. But this coalition, which you described earlier and more precisely than anybody by far, is the defining fact of American politics, and it kind of feels like it's being blown up over this war in Iran.
Actually, it's not. I don't look. I'm not interested in making Tucker Carlson feel better, but it's not being blown up over this. You guys are just having to realize that this is exactly what you voted for, and you had selective hearing. Every time you didn't like what Trump was saying, right? You would shove two frozen turds in your ears and go la 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 until the Trump Plaza Gaza shit passed, and then go back to he's the peacemaker.
That's my observation. Correct me.
Well, I think if you look at the three planks, stop the forever wars.
Why didn't he stop Afghanistan? Why did Biden have to do it? Why did he punt it? Why didn't he do it right away? What was going to be the difference? What's the difference between when we left, when Biden was in office, and when the first year of Trump? What's the difference? What difference was made in those years when he ran on getting us out of Afghanistan? He ran on this in the first fucking place. What was the difference?
Seal the border and deport the illegal alien, invaders.
Obviously not the people who work at Mar-a-Lago or Doral or Bedminster or any of his hotels or any of his buddies' hotels or any of his buddies' farms or meat packing plants or food prep plants or any of that, obviously.
Redo the commercial relationships in the world around trade deals and bring high value-added manufacturing jobs back here.
Oh, you mean like the CHIPS Act?
They're trying to shut all three down, right? But the one that they...
Who the fuck is they? Trump is egging all these things. Fuck you with this whole, like, they're trying to shut him down. He's a fuck up. Even if he really did these things, which I would argue is debatable, he's terrible at everything. So one of the worst things you can do, Steve Bannon and Tucker Carlson, is take the thing you give a shit about. No more foreign wars. We've got to, end the income tax, or we've got to cut spending and save the deficit. And take that very serious thing that you allegedly fucking believe and hand it to someone that's a dipshit on the level of Donald Trump. If you actually gave a fuck about these things, you would never hand them over to that. Are you going to let him watch your kid for the night? Are you going to let him drive your car? Of course not. So why would you think he would... any issue that was crucial, that he would do anything with it except fuck it up?
The one that they're obsessed with the most, which I find strange, is the forever wars. They've got to be in the forever wars, and particularly in the Middle East.
Who's they, motherfucker? Russia invaded Ukraine. If you don't want to back Israel after October 7th, say so, big boy, because I doubt it. I doubt it. He didn't pull our soldiers out of Syria in his first term. He moved them to Saudi Arabia so they could be human shields in front of processing plants because he thought the Houthis would be too afraid to kill Americans. So he used them as shields for MBS's oil reserves so he could keep the price of oil low.
I mean, this is what, and I'm a big supporter of Israel.
Yes.
And I'm telling people, hey, if we get sucked into this war, which inexorably looks like it's going to happen on the combat side, it's going to not just blow up the coalition, it's also going to thwart what we're doing with the most important thing, which is the deportation of the illegal alien invaders that are here. If we don't do that.
Why? Why? What, you think this could be like Iraq? Are they just going to start rounding up National Guards people and sending them over there for like long tours in fucking Iran?
We don't have a country. And you just see right now, they're doubling, tripling out. This is actually potentially a real civil war in our biggest cities. And President...
No, it's not.
Trump has to have our backing. So, and this came out of nowhere.
By the way, tell me again how Jan 6 was a love fest.
I mean, the trade deals you saw, he put together Liberation Day, but they've been thinking about it a long time. I mean, Trump's been talking about this since Lou Dobbs back in the 90s. He lays that out there. It's very sophisticated. He's got Scott.
It's not sophisticated at all. It's bullshit. He doesn't know how any of it's going. He just backs away from it. Trump always chickens out is an actual way that people are timing their trades on Wall Street right now. They're called taco trades. It didn't even come from like the punditry class. It came from Wall Street.
Bessent running around with Lutnick. They're trying to make these deals. He sealed the border already in the first 60 days. Now we're really going down and actually having the deportation. See the fight? And then
no, you're not. No, you aren't. You find dozens of fucking people. The vast majority of them don't have any criminal record, nor would they. You're pulling moms out of meatpacking plants. This isn't what this is. Well, I mean, this is what they voted for, but they're all like, "This is not what I voted for." Yeah, it was.
Out of nowhere comes a war with Persia. It's like a shooting war with Persia, a massive shooting war with Persia. It's like, how did this happen? And that's
because Donald Trump is a fuck up. I don't know. Fish stinks from the head. You're the one who thinks he's the king. Ask him.
I've been up as a defender of Israel and someone that's very pro-Israel. I've been saying, hey, this is going to be the end of Israel because of the way these decisions have been made. And you have, I think, shockingly today early when we had you on the show, you bring up a point that we have to address, which I think is the thing itself.
Soap is the enemy? Sorry, go ahead.
What is it about this apparatus? When you have a coalition that's like 1932 that's coming together, like Roosevelt had Harvard professors and crackers and Democrats and ranchers out west and big city bosses and the Irish and the Italians, and he put it all together and they juggled it. And
You got Brooklyn, Butte, Montana, Birmingham, Alabama, and they're all on the same side. Like, how did that happen?
And they govern literally
because it was post-World War I?
Almost all the way to Trump. You know, Reagan took out part of it, Newt Gingrich took out part of it, but it was 50, 60, 70 years. We have the same ability. We have hardscrabble
not anymore.
Hispanics on the Rio Grande Valley,
Yes.
South Texas. We have tech bros. We have, economic
Well, you used to.
nationalists. We have economic populists.
Yeah, a year ago, Hal, did they think they'd be talking about this? No, Paul. Do you think, honestly, that's one of the most beautiful things when watching these things is imagining them if you could go back in a time machine like to November and go, you want to watch a clip of what you're going to be talking about in June? And they'd be like, yeah, fuck yeah. And then they'd watch this and go, what happened? What is happening? Can I change it? Nah, it's already happened. If you do anything, you'll just exit this timeline and go off into your own. But this is how Trump is going forward. You'll die if you change anything. That's how you'll leave the
We
timeline.
have people that want to stop their forever wars. There's 3 planks. And right at the beginning of it, and it's on the 10th anniversary of coming down the Golden Escalator. That was 10 years ago.
Yeah, it's almost like, where's our favorite phrase that sums up basically everything about Trump's campaign versus his rhetoric versus his presidency.
That was just bullshit, Joel.
Mm-hmm.
Sunday. And I tell people as many triumphs and tragedies, victories and defeats, good days and horrible days.
Mostly horrible.
When we're winning and sometimes we're losing.
Most of the time you're losing.
Those 10
ironically enough
years of everything that's gone on is just the preamble for where we are today on the convergence of these crises. And now all of a sudden a shooting war where they're taking the Nimitz battle group out of the South China Sea and sending 3 carrier battle groups now to the North Arabian Sea, Red Sea, plus Arleigh Burke destroyers and a whole fleet in the Eastern Mediterranean.
Do you think they'll ever realize? Do you think it'll ever occur to them that this is a giant bullshit machine and these guys have been keeping the hoses attached the entire time? That they're the mechanics that keep the bullshit machine rolling, and do you think they'll ever be able to face that fact? Because that's your only way out of this situation, is to go, oh fuck, I was living a lie, and this was all horseshit, and I owe everyone an apology. They don't have the moral strength for it, and psychologically, their ego just won't let them do it.
Prepping for a major shooting war, and how did it happen? I think what's most shocking is what you said. Hey, it was like Iraq. You're inexorably just drawn, and decisions kind of just...
No. There's no inexorably. Nothing fucking magic happens. You are presented with options and circumstances, and you are not drawn into it. You do not have to be drawn into it. You can specifically say, we will not be drawn into this. We will defend Israel to this point, but we will not engage externally on other countries, period, full stop. As long as we are not struck, which is true anyways all the time and shouldn't go without saying.
Happen. It's like, what's happened?
Hi, Mark P.
For the last 72 hours, how did we even get to this point? How did this actually happen? Who made these decisions?
Donald Trump, you, Tucker Carlson, everybody who got him elected.
When we had...
Fuck you. Seriously, like, why would... this is... And again, I was about to say, why would we give a shit? But this isn't aimed at us. This is them cleaning up with MAGA.
The intel out there that this was not like a thing. This was something that was going to happen a year or two from now.
Yes.
Bibi admitted to Brett Baer on Sunday night. And so the question before us is not simply the Israel-Persia situation, is what the fuck is going on in this city?
Let's see. What exactly is going on? A gullible cult has followed the master to the mountaintop, as he has promised that he will levitate off the earth and they will all be healed of their sicknesses and they're all going to catch a comet and fly away. And the clock has been ticking for a couple of days now. You've run out of snacks. Your feet are starting to hurt. And it's a long walk back down the mountain. That's what. That's what the fuck is going on in this town. It ain't the town, dummy. It's not the town. It's you.
Just drive the city, whether you're Barack Obama or Donald Trump. And if we don't sort it...
Nope. And you notice he has to say Barack Obama or Donald Trump, because if he says Biden, you have to face the fact that as much as they don't like it or they mock it, Biden got us out of Afghanistan. End of fucking story. And there are no, American boots on the ground in Ukraine, no matter what these fuckers say. And we didn't attack. This was not us backing Ukraine attacking Russia. Russia attacked them. We backed the victim in this situation.
Out now. I mean, right now. That's what we have to have a throwdown. We have to name names. We have to expose it.
Yes, do that. Attack your own. Primaries. Start talking primaries.
If we don't throw it out now, throw down now in the summer of 2025, we're not going to have a country.
Well, you kind of don't. I don't know what the fuck you think America is supposed to be, but it ain't this.
Forget the midterms. Forget the
yeah, stupid midterms.
The next election. Still, we have to have this. What the CIA is, what happened in Ukraine?
The CIA. Jesus Christ! Why don't you start talking about MK Ultra? This is all about because we didn't go to the moon.
CIA is done. What DNI is doing. What the Justice Department. What the FBI.
No. Hey, asshole! You don't get to name the fucking departments. You get to say Pam Bondi, Tulsi Gabbard. You get to say Kash Patel and Bongholio. You get to say Donald John Trump, because that's who runs shit right now. It's not the department's fault. They're not on autopilot.
CIA and the Pentagon, because right now...
It's not, no. Pete Hegseth, motherfucker. Say his name. Stop chickening out. You fucking, these armchair warriors, they're all talk like tip of the spear, armor-piercing shell. This motherfucker uses all this military language all of a sudden. And then when it comes time to it, he won't name names in Trump's cabinet because he's so much of a fucking pussy. He's afraid to catch hell from these people because they all have him on speed dial.
We only have a tenuous grip on those. We have two people at the FBI, Kash and Bongino.
And both of them think that Epstein hung himself.
Handful of people
with no help
over at the Justice Department in a massive...
Pam Bondi runs the place. Fuck you.
30-some person or 15,000, 20,000 person operation. We have 3 or 4 people at DNI with 17 agencies. We're putting a couple of people in there. At the Pentagon, we got Pete and a handful of guys. And every time a guy steps up or the team steps up to say they want to stop the forever wars, they're turfed out. He's lost 10 people.
No. Oh, no. Say that again.
Team steps up to say they want to stop the forever wars. They're turfed out. He's lost 10 people.
He hasn't lost anybody. This drunk, shaggy motherfucker fired his own bros that he rolled in there. These are not deep state operatives who've been working, on that side of the argument for a long fucking time. This asshole these are Hegseth's buddies. He hung them out to dry. The deep state didn't broom him. Hegseth did it himself. He fired them to cover for his ass. Or you talk about Mike Pillow and the fact that he lost money and it's going to cost him $2.3 million to pay back the Dominion employee that he slandered. I hope they can get it, and he doesn't try to pill in, patent fill, he doesn't try to pay them in patented fill.
Since we've even got there, and every time Bridge Colby tries to do something, Bridge Colby's on the front page of that he's an appeaser. So my point is that now we're getting down to it. With all these converging crises, we have an apparatus that...
An apparatus.
Reports to Wall Street, to foreign investors, to Silicon Valley.
Oh, you mean Don Jr. and Eric?
In business with the Chinese Communist Party.
Oh, Vance. Sorry, Vance. You were saying Vance. I didn't realize that. It was definitely Vance.
Couch humping, jumping,
That's right. VP Vance.
I like wood, deeper and longer.
Okay.
That's running the deal, and now's the time if we don't lance the bowl over this.
Lance the bull? Lance the boil. Boil. A bull is an animal. A boil is, well, that.
This country, you're not going to, if you can't turn around with Trump, the Trump team he has, people like you,
Turn it around? They did, motherfucker. They did turn it around. Holy shit. Biden, lowest unemployment and longest stretch of it in fucking 60 years. The economy was going up, and there was no reason why it had to go. Rising wages, all that kind of stuff. We had gotten out of Afghanistan. We weren't getting into other stuff. We were supporting Ukraine, but we weren't actively involved in that fight any fucking where. When the same thing happened with Israel, we supported them to make sure they didn't get hit, but we didn't fire into any place, and it was a limited, incursion regardless. And Biden's thing was that he was limiting what stuff could go to Netanyahu, what they could use. They were putting rules of engagement, and when Trump came in, he turned it around. He was like, "Fuck it, the Gazans are a cancer. You gotta get rid of the problem quickly." Talk about lancing a boil. That's how he talked about the fucking Gazans. And you don't think the fact that the guy who wrecked the Iran deal, who wants to make a new one, which God knows why they would trust him to keep it, the same guy that said we got to wipe out the Gazans and we got to broom them the fuck out of there, basically talking openly about ethnic cleansing, the people that Iran uses as a proxy, much less the citizens, that somehow this deal is going to fucking happen. You want to talk about who turned everything around? It was Trump. This is what turned around looks like.
They're blessed to have these apparatuses. If we can't do this now, it's not going to get done. And so that's why, to me, it's gone of everything we're doing, stopping the forever wars, redoing the commercial relationships, we're trying to bring jobs back, and sealing the border and sending home deporting 10 million, which is going to be massive, almost like.
Yeah, especially when there's only 8.9 million here, max.
Civil war in these big cities. Of all of those, and I've always said the deportation is the most, to get our sovereignty back, the war we have to have now, the throwdown we have to have now is with the deep state. And we can't, I think we've looked away too often. We just kind of kicking the can down the road. And if we can't do it now with Trump, it's not going to get done.
It does feel like
a boil. Sorry, a fever blister.
Fox News is playing, and I never criticize Fox because they were so kind to me, but they are playing a central role in the propaganda operation here.
No shit.
It feels like.
It does? Why would you ever think? I mean,
you need three things. You need people.
You do.
You need information, and you need people with information.
You what? I'm sorry?
You need three things. You need people, you need information, and you need people with information.
Ah, I see.
I mean, you were there. You saw it. Look at the Iraq War.
Saw it? He did it, dummy. Still doing it. I mean, there's an argument that Rupert Murdoch, more of his money comes from China than from Russia, and that was the split.
I promoted the
Iraq War. Because of the information you were giving. Knowingly what they did, if you go back and look at Iraq.
Also, by the way, just because you were a fuck up and you bought a lie doesn't mean everything after is a lie and you just automatically get to doubt shit. If you were wrong about the last one, maybe you're wrong about this one too. Maybe this one's completely justified. This is an actual circumstance and you were baited into the other one because you were a dough-headed motherfucker, and now you're being baited against it in the same way because you want to excuse the fact that you were a fuck up before by just being a skeptic going forward, because that's always an easy fallback, because you can always go, well, I was just for peace the whole time.
It's not like these things are successful. They're not successful.
Tell that to the South Koreans.
They're unsuccessful. They can't be successful because, as Lincoln told us, what you need is...
Lincoln? Oh, right. Sorry. You guys think the Civil War was a mistake.
Popular opinion to have your back. And we don't do enough about educating the American people on what reality is. In fact, they give them the exact opposite. That's why it's all. That's what.
Exactly. So, like, the reality is, this guy has a festering sore on his face, and the other guy looks like a festering sore. Coincidence? I think not.
This is the rise of Trump is from two things. The rise of Trump is from the failed.
A wave of moron across the entire country, like a tidal wave of moronic, self-involved, social media-led bullshit.
Iraq war, and from the 2008 financial collapse.
Exactly.
You had Buchanan before that. We had Perot before that. We had even Reagan for some populism nationalism. You had these sprouts. You could see people were trying to get there, but they couldn't. It was those two cataclysmic events, right? An epic failed war, right? That we were lied to about everything, the reason we went in. Because remember.
Hey, no, remember nothing. While he was lying about it, I was marching against it. And a lot of people that watch my show, especially the non-maggots and high maggots, where it's always nice to have trolls here in the audience because you motherfuckers are always trying to, scoop up behind Trump and protect him from the fact that he was best friends with Jeffrey Epstein for 25 years. And the only other friend he ever had besides Jeffrey Epstein that was a true friend was Roy Cohn. Both guys pedophiles. Weird. Anyways, figure that out for yourself. But in the interim, if I may, I was marching against it. All of us were like, nah, I don't think they have weapons of mass destruction. This sounds like bullshit. This is garbage. Fuck this. Hold on. Right? I don't think I'm alone, right? I knew it was bullshit. You guys knew it was bullshit. There were some people who were like, parts of it might be scary. We obviously know he had chemical weapons because Don fucking Rumsfeld sold it to him. Good God. But I thought he would be my savior. Yeah. Oh, he was just going to be the best ever guy ever in the whole world.
At first, the American people supported it, given the information
Yes.
they were given. Then later,
yes,
they realized that, hey, not just was the initial predicate for this a lie, all the updates were kind of a lie, right? All the updates were a lie. We really weren't winning, right? Until we sent General Kelly to the Anbar province to be the toughest tribe, it took forever. And 8,000 dead, 50,000 wounded.
Russia has lost 1 million soldiers. And you guys still think they're winning. Fuck off.
$9 trillion.
Oh, thank you so much for the gifted subs, JD Christie.
$2 trillion or $7 trillion in Iraq and $2 trillion in Afghanistan.
Right. So I don't want to hear shit about Ukraine. We're getting that on the cheap.
You're just lied about the entire time. That's what's happening here.
No, it isn't. No, it isn't. And again, just because you were gullible last time doesn't mean we should trust you this time. Why am I supposed to believe that you've suddenly come to, that because you're now an isolationist, that means that you've come around? I think it's because you're trying to protect yourself from making that mistake ever again, so you just instantly write off everything.
Not being dealt with straight, and I'm just saying that on the information that's put out, the Israeli position on this has changed 3 or 4 times.
Because of the circumstance?
First, it was the nuclear bomb, the processing of everything. There was going to be something like last weekend. You had to go now. You had to go on Thursday night. It had to happen.
No, they didn't go because it was going to happen by the fucking weekend. It's not that kind of thing. They had 60 days. They were fucking around. The idea was on the 61st day, they'd been given all that room. It meant that they weren't going to go for a deal, that they were just dragging things along. And when time is of the essence at any given time, they've already got the trigger now. They have the capacity to send it in a ballistic missile, but not an intercontinental ballistic missile, so it's not the U.S.'s problem yet, like North Korea, for example, but it would be a problem for Israel because they're within shooting distance of their conventional warheads. So all they got to do is enrich enough uranium, and in theory, they have all it takes to make a bomb. And I don't know what the window is on the baking of that, whether it's, 25 minutes at 450 degrees or whether it takes 3 months, 6 months, or 90 days, but if they're able to enrich it, they have the trigger. They have the missile. That means they're months, weeks away. And again, whether they are or not is immaterial. You motherfuckers were selling this.
Right? Then we find out it's a year away at earliest, and then it's a decapitation strike. They're trying to have regime change. That just kind of came up over the weekend and saying, oh, well, since they're there, we're there, we have to do it.
Yeah, I don't think that's where they're coming from either. I think this is, again, this sounds like these guys are trying to paint this entire war in as bad a light as possible so that they can excuse themselves from being against it from the very beginning, no matter what the outcome is. Because they just will sound cautious in the end. Or they will use a reality that happened years ago. And here's, I'll give you an example. What if you're saying, look, we cannot be involved in a civil war in another country, you know, because civil wars never work out well. Look what happened in the United States. Black people can vote now. Do you understand? Like, that's their reasoning. That's the reasoning.
Understand, they said this is unilateral, we're doing our own, but understanding that they needed American air assets on the defense to protect themselves. And this is why the Arleigh Burke were rushed in, and this is why American air defense assets have been used nonstop. Now they're talking about, oh, by the way, we really can't take out Fedora. We can't take out the hidden mountainous second part of this. We need American combat sorties. We need American tankers to refuel us. We need the bunker busting bombs, and we need assets. This thing's...
No, you don't. Hold on. Let me. Can I show you something? Again, let me. All right. There is a point to which, let me see if I can open this on a page where I can show you this. We'll go to here. This guy is supposed to be, you know, former Navy guy, was supposed to be like an intel guy for Trump, you know, kind of gave the inside story on all this. And he was, you know, he's an expert in this circumstance when you're dealing with how, you know, they would manage to get to these bombs if they indeed could, right? Okay. Let's see. I know I saw it earlier today, and I'm going to draw this in because it's super fun. The series, well, let's see, 810 Warthog proxies. There we go. This is
for centuries.
Okay, whatever. This is stupid. Okay, so let's see if I can show you. Yeah. Talking about these bombs. Let me see if I can show. Okay, yeah. So this is a guy, a channel called Task and Purpose. Fairly decent takedown of some of these things on a more material way. The guy was saw action and covers these things or whatever, but he's talking about the bunker busters in this. Let me show you something.
Its destructive force against hardened targets. It's a satellite-guided bomb, which means that it can be dropped within 5 meters of your point of aim. So these can basically be stacked on top of each other like darts. The big difference here...
Right, and so the first bunker buster would go in, essentially these Moabs would go in there, and then poof, and then poof, and then poof. How can't you be happy these two can worship their God in their own way? Oh yeah, no. I'm allowed to make fun of anything that I find culturally hilarious, and anybody from another culture is allowed to make fun of things that I enjoy and find it hilarious if it looks weird to them. I got news for you. That is one of the most universally accepted things in humanity. All right, again, like Top Gun Maverick, exactly.
It's small enough to be carried by the larger fleet of F-15EX.
Now, Israel has F-15s. They also have F-35s. They can carry these bombs. They don't have to fucking get, like, the U.S. to fly them in. They can, their pilots can handle it. If we gave them these fucking things, they could fire them themselves. We don't have to be involved. We don't have to have our planes in the air. We don't have to be over this. I'm telling you.
Aircraft. To give you an idea of how important the U.S. government thinks this capability is, the contract is worth up to $7 billion potentially. According to open source intelligence estimates, as many as 15,000 of Iran's rocket force members may be in these underground tunnels. The tunnel also provides safe storage for many of their fighter jets. According to the Center for Strategic and International
Not that many, but
Studies, if the United States attacked Iran's ballistic missile network and nuclear facilities, it would require at least 16 F-18s, 10 B-2 bombers, carrying 30,000 pounds of massive ordnance penetrator bombs, just for preliminary shaping operations. How stable these are...
Again, which is not that many. That's, you know... It's a few dozen of those missiles because they're 2,000 to 5,000 apiece.
Underground bases are, and whether they would collapse or not from a bombing isn't known. These Iranian missile bases were specifically designed to negate the powers and strategies and advantages that the United States military used against their neighbors in Iraq. Air power and special forces teams were used by the United States to hunt.
This is the difference. This is where people on the ground would attack these bases, laser them. The Mossad's already there, so they would just Israel would use their own guys. We don't have to put anybody in there. But they would also follow, you make a hole and then they follow in behind it. They would get through there. He did say penetrator, right? That's true.
Iraq's mobile.
Yeah, please like the show if you would. Hit the like while you're at it.
Scud missile launchers. During the Gulf War, Delta Force was deployed on the ground on Scud hunting missions to specifically target Iraq's missiles. They were inserted by helicopters, Humvees, and motorcycles. Their mission was to ambush Scud missiles and call in airstrikes on the launchers. Iraq had some success in
There's some major pucker factor when you're doing that kind of stuff. Sorry, B-52 is required. The lead ones he's talking about, the big bunker busters, the Moab are, but the ones he's talking about can be carried on the F-15, and you can do multiples of them. So the idea is that you don't need the big bomb. You can give them the smaller ones, and then they could just hit them with multiple. So instead of one big these things where you need a B-52, you can use the smaller ones and the regular planes that Israel has already been flying can hit the same hole 5 times, which, that's your idea of a good time.
Moving their launches around by night, but they were vulnerable to discovery and air attack during the day. Iran paid close attention to all of this happening on the tactical level next door. The lesson here was clear to anyone watching. Iraq had nowhere to effectively hide their missile launchers. So we can see that a lot of the key design features of their...
Yeah, so this is the interior of these tunnels, these areas that the Iranians have dug. So again, this is not a mystery. They and Iran specifically said did I say Israel or Iran? Iran dug these tunnels and they put all this stuff in there. But this is also where they enrich their uranium, and they say it. It's not like Saddam Hussein. It's very different. Yeah. So there you go. So we wouldn't need to give them the B-52s, right? Shaq. I know, I get it. But an F-47 carry them? No, because they don't exist yet. But F-47, thanks for bringing it up. Hashtag F-47.
Heavily guarded mount.
Sorry, here we go. Back to this dipshit.
Changes all the time. When Tulsi Gabbard's still out there, as the last thing publicly said by a senior intelligence official, she said it in March. They don't have a program. They haven't had a program.
Yeah, but she turned. We're at the tail end of this, and sorry about the low volume on that one, but that's the way they posted it. Shall we do? And thank you guys for the super chat. So shall we do an AMA real quick? And real quick, we'll do it for starting now from now till 5:45 my time. Does that work with you guys? And then we'll wrap it up, and I'll thank you. And anybody, let's see. I'm going to open the Substack window. I think it's up here. Boink. Is it? Let's see. Dink. Dink. Is it there? Let's see. Copy it and put it there. So I can see that chat as well. The problem with it is that there we go. Excellent. Thanks for the hearts on the Substack. I see those, that's for sure. Okay. So, questions. Yes. Intelligence describing Tulsi is doing some heavy lifting. Absolutely. You heard B1? Yeah. Still hoping to get an answer to how you match Confess Fletch with the other two films. I don't. I didn't feel like it was anywhere near the same style. It was too referential in that regard. He even said some line like, because I'm cute, about himself, and it was too friendly and not egomaniacal enough, and that's what makes it funny. And again, this goes to some degree why the movie version of Mr. Bean is not as good as the series version of Mr. Bean, because they tried to, make him nicer for the American audience. And you have to understand that certain characters like that have to be assholes. Otherwise, the act of liking them doesn't require, as much, participation by the audience. Can we have proof of life on Chip? Yes. What was your take was about Trump leaving early and not meeting with Prime Minister Anthony Albanese? He left because he was chickening out and he didn't like being there. He doesn't know the answers to any questions, and he was dozing off and his catheter bag was getting full. I Came Late would stick around. Yeah, it's true. Yeah, British humor is kind of that way. That's true. Have you seen the photo of Zelensky sitting in Trump's seat at the G7? No, I haven't, but it's great. Mr. Bean is supposed to be awful. That's exactly right. Thank you, Hen Dog, and thank you guys for the super chats and those who did the super chats tonight for making this possible. Mr. Bean is a meanie, yes. Has to be a butthole, or what's the idea? Exactly. Otherwise, he's just kind of like he's just like an autistic guy who's kind of pitiful. But since he's a dick, you can, when he screws up, you can admit, yeah, you pounded Mr. Kitty last night and forgot. All right, hold on 1 second.
Things are breaking down. Something is wrong with the
I'm getting a cat.
sound. We'll be right back just as soon as we can. We appreciate your patience. Baby, you lit the can. Hanging in there. We'll be right back. It's not easy doing shows like this. Cut me some slack. I think I know the problem. It just isn't fair, but I know that I can fix it and be back on the air.
It's Chippers. There's a Chipper. Yeah. He's showing his toe beans. This is filth. Hi, buddy. You okay? You my boy? Yeah. He was sleeping, so he's a little tired. Hi, buddy. Yeah. His toe beans. That's my boy. You okay? Bruh. Yeah, that's my boy. Yeah. You okay? Yeah. He's learning to lay back like Bucky. He's learned this from him. It's cute. Yeah. You're doing so good. How are you? That's my boy. Oh, he's a sleepy kitty. Did I wake you up? I'm sorry. Yeah, this is Chip. Oh, God. He's a biggie. He's a panda posing as a cat. This is Chippers. Yes, it's Chippers. What are you doing? This is his panther hang, where he gets on your arm and just kind of lays over it like you're a limb in a tree. Hi, buddy. Yeah. Do you want to get down? Are you okay? Should I take you in there and annoy Camden with you? What do you think? So, yes, this is hi, buddy. What's doing? What's doing, buddy? What's doing? That's your boy. Yeah. Hold on. Yeah, see you. What you down? What you doing? Oh, yeah. I got you. Hold on. Here it is. Okay. You got a moment? Hi, Chippers. Okay. Hey. I'm getting food requests from there. So let me go back to my chat room. There he is. That's Chippers. Yeah. Oh, you can scroll back if you missed Chip. He was just here. Yep. So thank you, JD Christie. Sorry, I missed that too, because I was just in here doing my thing. How's Phil? He's good. Brief update on Gaza, please. I mean, the interesting thing is that the situation with Iran has dwarfed that largely. Food aid is going in fairly regularly at this point, and most of the issue that Hamas has is that any money that they would have gotten or support or orders they would have gotten from Iran would be very overt and easy to catch. So, morning. Hi. Young person, I just started watching Yellowbeard. So if I lines there, why didn't you tell me he was alive? To soften the blow. Yeah. You mean you were raped? Well, at first, yeah. Yes, Chip never. He does. He's Chip is sensitive about his weight. He looks a lot fatter when you pick him up. When he's down on the ground, he just looks like a big animal. He just looks like he's a big cat. What is Daddy going to make for dinner? I'm thinking fish and rice. How's he going to try to recruit you into Scientology? No. Although I think at one point they liked me, the Scientology folks, because I feel like, in one of my favorite Albert Pike phrases from my Masonic readings is about religion is everyone's entitled to their own unique mistake. And the idea that you could fit God in its form, whatever it is, through the human corpus callosum, it's going to come up with something funky. So to judge anybody's angle on God, like the four blind men trying to describe an elephant, there's a hubris in that. Like, oh, I've got God right, but they've got God wrong, right? So as a matter of principle, I don't do that. On a personal level, I think it's absolutely ridiculous. And I certainly think the behavior of the leadership towards some of their higher members and other people is kind of gross and fucked up or whatever. But and I wouldn't participate in it. But I also wouldn't read any more into it than I would, say, the Catholic Church or the youth pastor problem that evangelicals have, right? How you would blow their minds. Yes, that's very true. Is there good fish in Nevada? Sure. I mean, you got to think, like, Vegas has been here for a bit, so there's, they've got the restaurants here have had a lot of, we've had a lot of fine dining in this city, oddly enough, that you wouldn't see in someplace like Phoenix or other places for decades. Anywhere in the general area. So, God comes in 9 million forms, exactly. Yeah. Me too, Francie. Yes, it is AMA time. It is. I'm trying to describe an enema. The LA Dodgers should be boycotted? Why? Why do you always play Lois Lane? Yeah, that's very funny. Because I'm adorable. Favorite novel? Yours is Heart of Darkness. Illusions by Richard Bach. I also, Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy, of course. Yeah, those would be my top two. Yeah. How do you cook your fish? Well, it depends. Salmon, I will drizzle it with olive oil, a little salt and pepper, wrap it in tin foil, drape it over the top so there's a little bit open on the top so that the heat from the oven can kind of crisp the top of it. Often I will take a sliced lemon and lay it across the top of there and let the lemon juice cook into it that way. So I'll put 3 or 4 of those on the middle rack in the oven, and it usually takes, depends on whether I'm trying to slow cook them or fast, but that's usually, that's basically it. I'll change the dressing on the top of it. I will also sometimes, like other fish, I will usually cook in a skillet. Sorry. Can you get call your agent and get you on the network Sunday shows? I don't have an agent anymore. My agency was eaten, and I have been so busy. I've been so booked. I haven't gotten another agent. Sorry, did your dad? Yeah. How have you or your dad ever met Doc Watson? Yeah, of course. Broiled lemon and herbs. That's good. Yep. You need to have an interview with Sam Cedar. I don't think he would do it. He thinks I'm an asshole, and I am. Because and again, I feel like there are certain people that, and this is a distinction most people aren't making these days, but it's becoming increasingly important to me that people you think of as political streamers aren't really political streamers. They're social movement streamers that are talking about political details, but they're really in it for the social cause, the personalities and the language and the almost the cultish aspect of what makes you on the team and what says you're not on the team, and they're not as concerned about making sure that people get elected to actually implement those things. I'm more into that stuff. Did you like DLR Band with Vi and Sheehan? Of course I did. My cousin and I, one whole summer, Skyscraper was our album. What the fuck, you're not over, I do protest harshly. Yes, but you're our asshole. Thank you very much. I've always said that opinions are like assholes. If you tell me you don't have one, I know you're full of shit. Our Nerd Halen shows on YouTube. There's songs. There's a lot of songs. Yeah. So. Is sacrilege to ruin salmon with mayo? I think so. You can put a cream sauce on it, though. There's different ones. Have you ever read Neil Peart's books or Getty's? No, I have not yet. No. Am I going to talk to Caribou in Chicago? I don't have plans to, but that wouldn't rule it out. Mahi Mahi is terrific. Yep. Oh, thank you for the Bowling Green had a big group the 14th. Yes, it was great. Halibut and foiled mayonnaise, shredded cheddar, dill, lemon. Yeah, dill and lemon, and I'm a big tartar sauce fan. So I think a lot of fish can be salvaged with a nice application of spicy mayo. In some cases, if you're going because I have some tuna in the fridge that's sushi grade. Yeah. Who's your favorite author? I mean, fictionally, I would say Douglas Adams. On a nonfiction, Fritjof Capra, maybe. Would you do a Journey cover band? Sure. If you're an asshole, you're one of the good ones, but I don't consider. Oh, thank you. That's very nice. Yes. Can you bring in some Simon Rosenberg from Hopium Chronicles? I suppose that would be Andrea. Maybe that's one for Andrea. If you have a guest suggestion, send it to Andrea because I'm sure she's reached out to some of these folks. Pegged you for an Isaac Asimov fan. I do like Isaac Asimov. That is true. I mean, I'm more of a Heinlein fan, honestly. I find Asimov to have this curious mix of Darwinist pessimism in a lot of his stuff, which blunts it for me. Jake Bro in Vegas, he would be. I like Jake Bro. Yeah, does he live here or something, or is he just in Vegas hanging out? Arthur C. Clarke. Well, certainly. I mean, that's where my name came from. Al, do you ever talk to Gail Harold? No. The Fletch novels are out of print. Yeah, but you can get them on Kindle or on Apple Books, which is how I read a lot of things anyways. Especially if I want to take it on the road with me. Anne Burrell died at my age. Well, obviously she should have looked both ways before crossing the street, I think, honestly. Write a cookbook? That's not a bad idea, right? Have you read A Tree Grows in Brooklyn? I have not. Stranger in a Strange Land? I have. Yeah, Jake Bro does great content. Is he the guy? Hello, Defenders? That's him, right? Can you pull up the high note in Don't Stop Believing? I have. And I would go, the high note in Faithfully is actually is harder. I'm still young. Yes. That one, when you start getting up into those, that's those notes. It's funny because sometimes they're super easy, and sometimes you're like, God damn it, where is it? Hello, Defenders. Yeah, that's Jake. Okay, yes, I'd love to talk to him. Love Richard Bach, Jonathan Livingston Seagull. I did too, but I found Jonathan Livingston Seagull was more pessimistic. That's why I liked Illusions better. Oh, Jada is live? Okay, well, I will toss to him in a minute. What's your marketing slogan for president? That's a good one. That's an important question. There's so many things or whatever. I'll get back to you on that. It deserves some thought. You need a song about cats. Memories. Yeah. Semi-falsetto. That's called head voice. Falsetto is breathy, like Bee Gees. Bee Gees is a great example of head voice versus falsetto. What would be the ha 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 ha, staying alive. That's falsetto. But the you should be dancing. Yeah, that's head voice. Frankie Valli is head voice, right?
Do you ever miss taking calls, chats with the radio show? Yes, I do. I'm sad that it's a pain in the ass. I'll wait is now how you tested speakers for Circuit City. That's awesome. Yeah. Rhapsody just came in. You just came up with the DNC slogan. Oh, okay. Turn red districts purple and purple districts blue. That's it. Yeah. So the Bee Gees. I had this years ago. I had this joke in my act where because I opened for the Bee Gees once, and for the longest time I thought Robin Gibb had the greatest vibrato in music history. Turns out he was just scared. Oh, oh, darling. Please believe me, I never do you no harm. So believe me, right, when I tell you, right? Yeah. But, and that goes along with the, right, never mind. Anyways, have you considered directing your script writing? Well, I've written multiple scripts. I ghostwrite for a sci-fi writer in the 90s. That was how I paid my bills for a while. And then none of those were made into movies, but it paid the bills for a while. And then, because in a couple of cases, they reverted back to, some of the plot changes that I made, and they shouldn't have. But, and then directing, I directed on Lab Rats. I was I'm in the DGA, the Directors Guild, so. How about some Freddie Mercury? Yeah, we're gonna at the Jam. We're opening with a Queen song. So I wish I had. Do I have my? I don't have them here. Do I? I used to do this with a white. Anytime I could get my hands on a white pick. I've paid my dues, time after time. I've done my sentence, but committed no crime. Your Freddy scared my cat. So did my Getty, apparently. You met Iggy Pop? No, I have not. It'd be cool. Let's see. I'm familiar with Dead Zitron. I am not. Queen is the best Queen cover band, right? Well, there's an argument that all bands, after they made their big albums, are cover bands after that point because they're playing the stuff like they would have, kind of reviving it for you, but they're not the same people because nobody is. Everybody grows, right? So, any Queer as Folk movie? Not so far. Oh, I won't. Don't worry. Andy Gibb, I liked his music too. Yeah. So the Bee Gees Barry Gibb wrote Andy Gibb's songs. Do you know how Barry Gibb died? Coke-induced heart attack. Apparently his heart was almost as big as his head when he died because he'd used so much cocaine. It basically worked his heart like a fucking muscle, and he just died. Shadow Dancing was his song, right? And that was basically that. How do I feel about Zappa? I feel like he's a poet and a novelty artist as a musician. I appreciate the complexity of his music, but I've never been moved by a piece of his music. Maybe that's not the point. That's okay, right? You're not supposed to be moved by all music. Some of it's just supposed to make you dance or think. That's okay. Rules and dogma. You mean morals and dogma? So, yeah, no, Barry is not dead. Andy is. But Barry wrote all of his songs, yeah. Allergic reaction to cocaine? Sure. Yeah, Ralph, it's a great book. Like at one point when I got my first copy of Morals and Dogma, I started underlining the parts that were interesting to me, and I'm like, I'm going to end up underlining the whole goddamn book. Frank was one of the best lead guitarists. Yes, but it's almost like one of those things where your capability gets so far ahead of the music you're around, you almost have contempt for it. Yes, clearly a genius. Right. Yes, Maurice passed away. The song Yo Mama is soulful. Yeah. Did you like Disney? Yeah, they were great to me. Hold on. What was this one? I'm going to back up. Hey, Al, please. audition for your zombie movie about Leg Day. Okay. Yes, Leg Day of the Dead. What R&B artist do you like? Female? I mean, like I was a big Janet Jackson fan, largely because of Black Cat, I think, as a lot of guitar guys are. Hell not. Yeah. I mean, I also grew up like, you know, like in the timing of my life, like you got to think of what I was listening to around like the Flashdance soundtrack and Irene Cara and that kind of stuff. Also Sheila E. when she was with Prince, and her offshoot of that. Yeah. There are a lot of artists I appreciate that I just don't feel like are for me. You know what I mean? Shaka Khan. She sang with us on Celebrity Duets, and she came in this like what looked like a ghillie suit. Like her dress was all these like shredded things, and it matched her hair. And we kept calling her Chewbacca Khan because she just looked like, it was just funny. Like her hair blended into the outfit, and you're like, there's just nowhere to go. Your brain immediately goes Chewbacca Khan. It can't not. And of course, Prince wrote "I Feel for You" for her, which is cool. Yes, Janet Jackson was very sexy back then. Roberta Flack, fantastic, yeah. Hailstorm is great. Rhythm Nation, oh my God, Carolyn. Yes, you know, like I gotta say, Rhythm Nation does not get enough love, and like Common Ground. What an amazing song. And my band covered Do the Right Thing, which is a song of theirs. When we would play it live, I was very proud of our take on that song. Yeah. Can we meet on common ground with our worlds so far apart? And is there no room to be found? Can we speak without the sound of a world gone quite insane? Can we start settling down? Well, all is plain to see while the threats start flying. You'll not have to scream, 'cause we're not that stupid. I love rhythm core. Or did you say Rhythm Nation? I got totally distracted. Rhythm Corps. Favorite supergroup? What qualifies as one? I mean, it used to be Damn Yankees in some ways until Ted blew it for everybody. How can you or Johnny Million play Eruption on guitar? Johnny can, sure. Pushing Forward Back is my favorite Temple of the Dog song. Hal can't do Windows. Certainly I can. Your voice is perfect for a Shinedown song. All right, that's cool. All right. Traveling Dingleberries. That's what we used to call them. 250K ohm. That's the Traveling Wilburys. We call them the Traveling Dingleberries. That's you know, you couldn't escape that. That's like the song Linger. I was, of course, 15 when that song came out, or 16, and so my brain went to, would you like to smell my finger? Right, that was one of my first music jokes. How you know your favorite band is Kiss? This is true. But because I have a favorite band doesn't mean I don't have lots of bands that intertwine with what I do. Okay, have you heard Johnny May plays guitar with the fart box attached? I have not yet. I don't think it's arrived yet. Boston is a supergroup? Boston's not a supergroup. Boston's a studio band, but they weren't a supergroup. They weren't like a bunch of other guys from other bands joining together. You could argue that to some degree, in the most minor sense, Van Hagar would be one. Yeah, Rip Sly Stone, yeah. And your duet with Dennis the Young Lady, your girlfriend at the time, is that Camden's mom? No. But it's weird because he favors her. It's a weird thing. Like, they have the same smile. I don't know how that happened. How's the real-life version of Buckaroo Banzai? Damn straight. Now I would just like to be the revival version. Linger came out in 94? Okay. I was 24 and I had the same sense of humor.
Thank you. Boston, yes, Boston is definitely Tom Scholz. But that was his band. Saw Kiss in 75, that's amazing. Would you like to be on a Star Trek series? Absolutely. Because once you're on a Star Trek series, you kind of, there's a whole sub economy there. Van Hagar, is that a rip? No, it's just a reference to the time period. I love the Yellow, especially the second half of the Xanadu soundtrack when I was a kid. 1.6 thousand likes. That's amazing. If everybody would just subscribe. Hockey, football, or baseball? That's a good question. Hockey these days. It's so weird, but absolutely hockey. We watch so much more hockey. What does the Purple Crown mean? Which Purple Crown are we talking about? Is it the Prince reference? What do you mean? Star Trek equals money? Yeah. But it also, let me tell you something. Fame is often better than money because you can burn through money a lot faster than you can burn through fame. And unless you're like a fuck up, and even these days, like you can be a fuck up and half your fan base will rally to your side even harder. That's the weird part. But fame is more elastic and long lasting than money can ever be. So I think that's why a lot of people have learned to seek it before they seek actual financial stability based on it. You can get a partner on Star Trek: Strange New Worlds. I'd love that, but I don't have an agent right now. I'll eventually get another one. That's part of my project for this year, but it keeps getting punted because I'm so goddamn busy. I don't want to get an agent and then like, I can't audition for that. I got a thing and I got a bunch of shows. And you saw Van Halen on your birthday? That's great. I can't stand Jeff Lynne as a producer. Well, it's a lot. I mean, he was an engineer for the Beatles, so. The Purple Crown's next to some people's name. Oh, I see. That is like a membership. How long you've been a member? I think that's how they do it on YouTube. I don't see them on my end. I just see this. I see kind of a version of this. I will, lady cab driver. I'll get an agent. God damn. I just don't want to get all right. There's a thing like monkey branching in when you get an agent a lot of times. You're letting go. Who's your favorite superhero? It rotates. It was always Spider-Man for the longest time. Now it's Captain America. I'm occasionally entering into Punisher zone. But you don't let go of the last one until you got the other one. You got a grip on the next one. A lot of times agents are like that. You don't leave this agent until you have this agent. But my agency collapsed because of that whole ICM thing. It just no longer exists. And so after it happened, I was like, on the one hand, I'm like, oh shit, I haven't been without an agent in a long time, but I was very relieved. And so when I do get another one, I'm going to be probably more selective than ever before. Or I'm just not going to, I don't feel like I need a big one. I feel like I need a boutique person who gives a shit. Hire Summer as your agent? Yeah, well, it's not bad. Let's see, Fleetwood Mac was the last concert you went to? That's amazing. Hero, yours was Muhammad Ali. He's an amazing human being. That's a good one. I met him. I was very proud to have met him, Tim, at the Derby one year. Okay, you could be the next Frank Zappa. I should be so lucky. I have a lot of heroes because I have no shame about having heroes. I think it's good to have people you aspire to. Paul Stanley is definitely one of mine. There are a lot of like individuals that only I know, but Paul would be way up there in the terms of the people. Do you like Daredevil? I do, but he's been a peripheral character in my reading. CSL says Discord note will do. I'll check in right now. Been 30 minutes. Thank you. Want to save some more for AMAs? Yes. Sorry. There you go. All right, I'll let you guys go because I'm hanging on them and I got to go feed the family. So that's been 30 minutes, and thank you guys so much for the support and all that kind of stuff. What's the last one? The heroes are everywhere. Saw Elton John's first. Benny. Punisher's pretty good. I mean, Frank Castle, the original one, the black and white comic books. Yeah. Oh, thanks, Alex. I'll do my best. Yardbirds, cool beans. See you later. Thank you very much. What makes a hero in your mind? A hero is someone that has qualities that you wish you resonated to. Somebody who is like, they represent a standard. They don't have to represent perfection, but they have to stand out as somebody like, if I emulated those characteristics that they, seem to portray, and again, it's not, they don't have to be perfect. You just have to, they have to represent that thing for you because it's your target, not theirs. Your heroes are about you, not about them. And so you're like, if you could see those things kind of like a guiding star, and you go, this is my hero because I want to be those things. I want to live up to this standard. And they seem to do it, so I use them as a reference for myself. And I appreciate what they have done on the planet, too, on a completely human level. That would be my definition of what a hero is to me. And so that's why I have so many. All right, I love you. I will see you later. Take care of yourselves and take care of somebody else. And I'm going to go feed the family and do all that kind of stuff. And I will see you guys tomorrow, morning show. And it's CSL. Sorry, Ira is determined to make me and CSL your agents. It's not a bad idea. Guests tomorrow? Do we have our... the regulars? Is it... let's see. She can vouch for us, right? I'm waiting for a second to make sure that I think our standard guests, is it the Major and Phil? Because tomorrow's Wednesday. Fingers crossed. I'm looking forward to Rob coming back on Friday because we haven't had a full AI, Friday AI in a bit. And I'm looking forward to nerding out. So much shit has happened. So, all right, we'll figure it out. Either way, I will see you guys tomorrow. All right, I'm out. All right, there we go. Take care of yourselves and take care of somebody else. And I'm going to go feed everybody. All right, credits, do it. There we go. Thank you guys so much. Yes, and our guest tomorrow will be Major Ojeda and Phil from Ukraine. Lots to obviously talk about and yell about. And welcome, single Kick viewer, as we just started entering into the Kick.com world. And to Substack people, Sure Knows Something is awesome. Beautiful song. Adam, you have to see us do The Elder. It's amazing. I've participated in a live performance of it, and it's fantastic.